being taller make it more challenging for skating? How's it work with center of gravity?
I mean, definitely the shorter you are, the better from a center of gravity standpoint.
Right.
Although, like, I'm not entirely sure on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works. But typically, a lot of the professional skaters are going to be shorter. That there are outliers, but a lot of the pros are under 6 feet. But then there's
Really?
fews that are over.
It's so a center of gravity thing.
Yeah, I would think
Tony
so.
Hawk's a little bit taller than
He's
that, right?
taller. He's over 6 feet. It kind of depends on what you're doing. A lot of the transition skaters and things too. So people who skate on ramps or in bowls and things, you can be kind of a taller person for that, no problem. But a lot of the street skaters who are more kind of finesse or skating really big stair sets and ledges and all that, typically tend to be smaller.
Yeah.
But, people, it's an anomaly. People are always going to surprise you with skating. That's what's so crazy. It doesn't really matter. If you're skating, you're skating. So
It's the wildest sport. Is it activity, extreme sport?
Yeah, right.
It's extreme sport, right? I guess you'd call it
Yeah,
that.
it's like it's an extreme sport of sorts, but it's hard to categorize, I feel like, as a sport. This is something that comes up so often. It is in the sense of there is a required amount of athleticism.
Absolutely.
It's of course it's an athletic pursuit in a lot of ways, but at the same time, it's kind of at this unique intersection point between sport and art. It's kind of like at that Y intersection. So what is it? Some people do treat it more like a sport, and especially nowadays with more corporate involvement, it's gotten bigger from a contest standpoint and being the Olympics. You can very much go the route of, everyday practicing at the skate park. You got a trainer, you're stretching, you've got your nutrition plan. You could go that route. People do, but then some people take it the full creative side. Some people are more involved in skateboarding than anybody could ever imagine, and they might not even be skating day to day. They could be a photographer, they could be a filmer, and they could be in it more than most people who are rolling around. You know what I'm saying? So and then there's everybody in between. And so it's fascinating. I think that's why it draws such a wide crowd, in so many
Really
different
wide
ways.
crowd.
Because it can appeal in whatever way you see fit.
Yeah. And to the average person, I grew up around a lot of skaters back in Hickory Hills, and I skated too, but nothing crazy. My first time trying to go down a half pipe was in Tinley Park.
Nice.
It's like 2001, and I dropped in. I was like, I did it in my head, and I go up
For sure.
and come this way. Skateboard shoots out.
Yeah.
My face goes straight into the pole, and teeth went through my lip.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, like bloody nose, swollen
So you
cheek.
took a huge one right off the
and
bat.
I was done.
Yeah.
I was done. I was like, I'm never doing that again.
That's a pretty good ender. Like for because you hear some people, I fell, I sprained my wrist, or like that's a pretty good one to be like, yeah, I'm about finished. If that's one of the first injuries you get, that's rough. I mean,
That was just the first one with skateboarding. I ended up having them in like every extreme sport, and then I was like, I'm done.
sure.
Because I started getting into longboarding and bombing massive hills.
I know all about that.
Yeah, and I had a real bad accident, like should have died type of accident.
What went down?
Did you ever hear of Lamont?
Yeah, of
Illinois,
course.
where the
Yeah.
big hills
Dude,
are?
I used to skate downhill for 10 years.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I did before skating.
Yeah.
It was a mix. I was doing it all at once, but in theory, the main thing I was doing was skating downhill. I did it for a while.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you do in Lamont because they have famous hills for that.
Yeah, Lamont, we went to Algonquin, but we went up towards like northern Illinois, Mississippi
Yeah.
Palisades State
Yeah.
Park, up by, it's like close to, what is it, Clinton, Iowa. It's right on the Mississippi, so you get the big bluffs up there. But
Okay.
I spent a good amount of time traveling for it. And things
Okay.
too, so, yeah.
Longboarding or skateboarding?
Longboarding.
No,
Well, both,
okay.
but longboarding mainly.
Better for the hills.
Yeah, man, you got to find them out there.
I bought a really nice loaded skateboard from, what was that skate shop in downtown LaGrange? Not First Gear, that was in Berwyn.
Oh, yeah, the one in wait,
The one, it's on.
Totally Bored.
Totally Bored, yes.
Dude, so
Yeah, I used to go there a lot.
Okay, that is one. Cheers too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, cheers.
Dude.
Skateboarding.
Totally Bored. Mm-hmm. That was like me and my homies, kind of first little, maybe not first, but first smaller shop sponsor at the time, because we were filming a lot of longboard downhill related videos, and Totally Bored, the guy, I forget his name now. We didn't really even know him. I think we just talked to one of the managers at the shop. They just like let us get discounts on stuff. So we drive all the way out to LaGrange. And
Where were you from? Like,
We were Glen Ellen.
Oh, okay.
So Glen
Not
Ellen,
too far.
Lombard, Wheaton. Yeah, so not too far at the time. But yeah, that's so, dude, I have not thought about Totally Bored.
Yeah, I got it in 2009. Used it for a year with my buddies. We all got longboards at the same time. We were all going around. Everyone was kind of like grew up skating,
Sure.
but no one really got good at it. So we went into like
Yeah,
longboarding.
sure.
It's a different world, and we would go to Lamont and
Yep.
give my buddy some gas money. We'd grab into the back of his car. He'd pull us up the hills,
Right.
but we'd only go down the hills that we like looked out and made sure they were like safe.
Yes.
At
Or
least
spotted for cars. You mean?
Spotted
Yeah.
cars.
Or-
We'd go at night and make
Yeah.
sure it was just safe. Like it wasn't like a dead end or something.
I see. Yeah.
We can get out of the big bomb. And some of these hills were hitting 45, 55 miles an
Yeah,
hour.
right.
And we ended up going down this one right past the school. And my buddy Jake, he grew up skateboarding, a really good skater. I was following him and trusting him. It turned out he didn't. I thought he like looked at the hill. He knew already.
Yeah.
He didn't. And we went down this hill, and it is a big hill. It leads right down the main street. It's called Julia and Main Street. And we're bombing it, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Like, we didn't look at this one. I don't see an end anywhere.
Sure.
And we're just going faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, of course. You're just cooking.
And I estimated at the time that we hit about 60. Later on, I put a car in neutral, put
Yeah.
it down, and it hit 60. So I was like, we're probably going 60. Flying. And then I see at the end of the hill that it just meets at a dead end. It just hits the railroads. Like, it's just dead. It's not even a street. And my heart sinks. I'm like, this is how I die. I'm 20 years old.
This is how it is. This is
how
how
I
it
die.
ends, dude. I'm
wearing
unloaded dervish.
shorts and a
Yeah.
t-shirt, no protection, no helmet, no knee, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Just nothing. And I see he's in front of me. I see him try to take the turn. He can't, obviously, and just slaps in the concrete and just goes flying to the
Sure.
tracks. It looked bad. I was like, he just died, and I'm next.
Yeah, right.
And I see a little patch of grass that I'm like, if I can make it to that grass, this would be a lot less painful. And in trying to get to the grass towards the end, I kind of lost control.
Sure.
Didn't really get speed wobbles. I just lost control.
course,
Those boards
yeah.
can handle it well. And I did an endless amount of somersaults. I don't know, 12 somersaults. Broke this wrist, sprained this one, sprained both ankles, broke my tailbone.
No way.
Yeah, and like it was bad. And then ripped off, they said like 18% of my skin off my body. It was so painful. Thought I broke my back because when I got up,
Yeah, of
when
course,
I
with the
came
tailbone.
to,
Yeah.
I didn't even get knocked out. When I jumped up, my glasses and socks and shoes just were gone. They just flew off me. And I was like alive. And I just kept saying like, I'm alive. And I didn't feel anything. I was just numb.
Full ragdoll.
Just numb, full ragdoll. But didn't hurt head or core. Nothing.
Yeah, which is legit.
Which is the most
That's what
important
you want.
thing.
Yeah.
And I just, all of a sudden the pain hit me and I collapsed and I was like, my back's broke. Like I can't
Yeah.
move. I can't feel anything. I couldn't move my wrists. 'Cause
Yeah.
broken or sprained, you can't move them at first. They just feel numb.
Yeah, they get all tight, you know.
They get all
Yeah.
weird and tight and numb and stuff. And yeah, went to the hospital and they were like, what the heck? X-rayed me and they couldn't believe it that what I told them, like, you were so lucky you're alive. And my buddy, he felt actually better than I did because I don't know how, but he didn't get his hurt. He just got a bunch of road rash.
Sure.
No broken bones.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, I don't know. I couldn't get back the sensation
Sure.
when you get on a board and I always had this, like, my stomach sinking.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It just never went away. To this
Yeah.
day, I just, like, can't do it.
Yeah,
I've never
no,
really
I
done
feel
it
you.
since.
That's a big crash. Yeah.
It was bad.
That's the thing with skating downhill. It's different than traditional skating in the
Yeah.
sense of you don't necessarily crash as often, but when you do, it's typically really bad, you know?
Yeah.
And the whole point's avoiding because there's not, when you strip it down, there's really three tricks. You go straight, you turn left, and you turn right.
Yeah,
You know? And
yeah.
so can you drift both ways? Can you tuck properly? Whatever. But that's the thing. You're just avoiding falling kind of at all costs. And when you do fall, since they're more rare, they're usually pretty rough,
They're
you know,
bad.
to say is an understatement. But yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever fallen doing longboarding?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a ton, man. Yeah. There was one, we were skating this one road up near Clinton, Iowa in the rain. And it was like this big hairpin turn that led into a big straightaway, but pretty fast road and washed out. Whatever, it was a backside. For me, it was a right-hand corner, so it was a backside drift. Washed out because it was in the rain. Slid through the other lane. Thankfully, there was no cars and right into the guardrail. I broke my right ankle. I kind of slid in, you know, at an angle with my legs up like this. The first leg hit the guardrail and snapped my ankle, but then I slid through kind of like all the way to my nuts, you know. But on the way that I slid through, the other leg caught on like some deadbolt or something that was holding the guardrail together, and that's what really did a number. I mean, I ripped my whole shin open, and that's what was really. Luckily, I didn't need surgery on the leg. On my broken leg, they just casted it, but the cut brought a lot of problems, because it was so deep and things like that.
That's a gash. That's not a cut.
Yeah, it's not a. Yeah, it was definitely.
How fast were you going? You hit that? 30,
I mean,
40.
At the
sliding?
time, I slid across the whole road. Because it was still a little bit slick. I bet I was going 30 or 35 at that point still. Thankfully, I didn't, fall sooner or later, so that I wasn't hitting it that fast.
Yeah.
I at least had some time to brace and slow down.
It was a guardrail.
It was a guardrail.
What was on the other end of the guardrail? Was it a drop off?
Yeah, it's a drop off. It's like a cliff per se because it just came right off. But there's so much kind of shrubbery and bushes that you'd probably get caught on some stuff. And even if you slid down the whole thing, you'd be all torn up. But it's not like a cliff where you'd break things. But just kind of like a steep, forest wall of sorts.
Why do we do these things?
Yeah, I don't know. 'Cause it's fun,
How old are you? If you don't mind me asking?
I'm 28.
Okay, I'm 34. So
Yeah.
a little bit older, but all the crazy stuff I've done in life and somehow survived. There's been a lot. There's been a lot of survivals. I don't know how. Even car accidents, like
sometimes it's like, what am I doing?
I know.
How is this
and it makes
going?
It's like good and bad. It's good because it allows you to like appreciate life and when you are healthy and whatnot.
Of course, man.
But it's bad. I don't know if I can't speak for you, but you probably have seen this a lot in your friends, skaters and people who do things like that. It also can make you a bit numb to when bad things happen because you've had it so much worse.
Yeah.
That the threshold for pain and suffering is so high that you can come off as like cold.
Sure. I understand that. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always wondered, like, people who do a lot of extreme sports, like, how they feel about it, how they think about life. Because I've always felt that almost between the festival and always getting hurt doing it and hammers falling off stuff and knocking your head and getting cut by stuff and just really banged up, setting a bar so high.
For sure.
And the extreme sports stuff. I also like climbing. 2 weeks after that accident to longboarding when I was 20, I had a cast on this hand. I could barely walk because my broken tailbone. And I went cliff jumping in Joliet in the quarry there.
Yeah, right.
50-foot cliffs, like still with a broken cast.
Man. Yeah.
And like, why did I so stupid?
I know, but you're just fired up, dude. Sometimes you gotta, right. But that's the thing when you don't have the one kind of outlet that, it's kind of this calculated risk outlet, that you kind of test the waters with and push yourself to see if what's feasible and find out, and sometimes you really find out, in some cases. But then when you're hurt and you can't do that, for me, that's what is most dangerous because then I try and find it elsewhere. And that's when you start messing around, like just doing dumb, risky stuff in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I understand that because you're like, well, I can't skate. I can jump off this cliff though, So like, no, I find myself.
When you say it like that, you're one of the few people I've met that got excited.
Yeah.
Like you related, like I can still jump off a cliff though.
Totally.
I don't need my wrist for that.
Totally. Yeah, no, I literally was just in Arizona for a friend's wedding. And I flew Frontier or whatever, super cheap. You can't even bring a bag, So I just stuffed as much stuff for the wedding in my small little backpack that fits in their crazy tight carry-on kind of size checker right before, and they got all eyes on you as you're trying to jam the thing in there, and otherwise they make you pay whatever $100 at the gate to check a carry-on bag. It's crazy. So anyway, I was trying to do a budget, but I was going to Scottsdale where the wedding was at, and there's a bunch of pools there. Like empty pools for skating. I've skated a few before. So I really wanted to bring my board, to be able to skate a little while I was out there because I was taking the trip anyway. But I couldn't because just couldn't really afford the ticket and just wanted to kind of get in and get out, things like that. Yeah. And so, like I was saying, you're finding other ways like, oh, man. So I'm hanging at my friend's place and she's got a pool and she has this low-hanging roof. And I'm like, I could totally get up on that roof, and jump into the pool. I'm going to go do that. And so the fence around the house is all made of cinder blocks. And so it's like a cinder block wall. It's got to be like, I don't know, 7.5 or 8 feet tall, I'd imagine, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then on top of the cinder block wall, they have these cinder block caps that are about like 2.5 inches thick. And that's what seals the top of the cinder block. And so I'm climbing up this wall and I pull myself up and over the wall so I could get up and then get on the roof. And the top cinder block cap comes completely loose, but I had all my weight on it. I was about to pull up like this, and I'm hanging off the wall. Comes completely loose, fall backwards and just essentially throw the cinder block directly onto my shin. And thankfully, it hit like my right big toe first, I think. And so I thought I kind of like took my toenail off or something like that. My toe was really hurting. And I kept looking at my toe and I'm walking around. And I was thinking, oh man, I totally got away with one on that. Like so lucky. And then I'm sitting down 10 minutes later, look down again and notice my left shin. And I was like,
Covered in blood.
that's what happened. Just like took a monster gash out of it. Luckily, there was like nothing to pull together because it's right on your shin, Mm-hmm. But that was a good 2.5 months of like some close care of that thing because that was quite the wound. But again, just what I'm saying is like, if I had my board, I would have gotten my fix skating in the pool. We would have had a day, but I didn't have it. And I'm like, kind of itching to get into something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stupid. But
Has it tapered off with age at all? Mine has just completely fallen off.
Yeah, I think
everything's calculated.
I think it's a lot. It has tapered off, all things considered, but it's definitely still there a little bit,
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing that I try and stay pretty cognizant of is, that risk assessment, being realistic about the risks that you are taking and understanding the potential consequences and what's feasible. That's really how you gain some longevity in certain areas like skateboarding or other more extreme related activities, is because you have to be realistic about what's feasible. Like what's within reach. Sure, you still might get hurt trying it, but what's the difference between something that's kind of a push risk or something that's like more of a reach type of risk where okay, maybe I'll get this, but maybe I'll get smoked versus what's just reckless,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something that I definitely try and stay mindful of and always have. But definitely, of course, I think over time, as I've gotten a bit older, have kind of leaned more towards the more calculated side of things.
I noticed that at the Wilson skate park event back in July, where I first saw you, met you. You were just doing hot dogs.
Yeah.
The sound system, make sure everything's cool. I don't think I saw you go in the bowl once.
For
maybe
sure.
once. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe at the end. Usually, it's always kind of busy in the beginning. I want to make sure everybody gets food and can tear through all the dogs and make sure everything's going fine. And then usually once people start kind of tapering off and leaving, I usually pop in. But in the beginning, it's definitely more just kind of like event hosting mode,
I 100% understand.
Yeah, I would imagine you probably know all about that. Actually, way more than I do. Even though I throw a decent amount of events, it's nothing like this stuff, dude. That's what's so cool. I'm interested to chat with you more about that.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about it.
That's an amazing accomplishment,
Thank
just
you.
from the little I know about organizing and what goes into it and all the things to consider. I mean, I can't imagine trying to take on a project like that.
It took some years off my life and my credit cards and my credit score and a lot of things. It definitely was the most. It's made everything else in life so easy because it was so overwhelming and hard, and I would not recommend. And orchestrating. Towards the end, it was roughly 50 volunteers. Between 40 bands, the average band is 4 people, so it's 160 musicians.
That's
40 artists. They usually had a +1, like selling artwork. So roughly, 80 people there, and then family, neighbors, the city, the restaurants who sold food or coffee. I was corresponding with 300-400 people just to get it done, and doing it alone. I orchestrated, did all that alone. Executing it the day of, the volunteers were there those days, but it's the whole setup.
Oh, of course, it's on you. Yeah,
it was on me, and I also just curious as to how to do all these things.
Yeah,
every single thing, something that 10, 15 people might do. How do you do all of them?
Yeah, right.
Just so one day, if I can get it to happen again in the city, and I only have one job, I can now relate to all my interns or employees, and I can get on their level what it is to do that thing because I've done it.
Of course.
But I miss it. I miss building stuff. I'm a big fan of building things.
Awesome. Yeah.
As you are with skates.
Yeah, of course.
Skateboards, rather.
Yeah, right.
It's fun to build stuff, use machinery, use tools, especially with wood and things you can manipulate that are malleable. I used to love building the stages. I don't think my friends enjoyed it as much as I did.
Sure.
But I hope they did. But I certainly loved it. And
did you design and build the stages?
Yeah, design and build the stages. They were 24 feet by 16 feet, 4 feet tall, staircase leading up. 8 foot awning with a backdrop overhanging for shade and weather and stuff. Buried all the extension cords, which are all right there on that wall.
Nice.
All 1,000 feet of 10 gauge extension
Yeah,
cord.
dude, those
heavy duty.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's not
The heaviest
cheap either.
duty you can get
Yeah,
at a
for
store
sure.
before you have to custom make
Yeah,
them.
right. Yeah.
And we'd bury all of them in the grass. And
Dude.
I'd made a whole system of how to make it distributed across all the circuit breakers in the house because we had all this power going on and PA systems. And luckily, I had a great team of friends and great team of people who did some of this stuff for a living or went
Of
to school
course,
for
yeah,
it.
you could get the proper insight from them.
Exactly. So I learned a
Yeah.
lot from the people I had around
So
me.
sick, man.
Which
Yeah.
was great. But yeah, the video part of it, the audio, I mean, the tents, the custom tents we had to build, everything was just built and customized, and it was hard to stop it or get rid of it, but it was so stressful, daunting, risky with the rain,
Oh, yeah.
injury. Thousands of people came. People get drunk. People make mistakes. No insurance on anything.
Totally.
Just
Just
fingers
running-
crossed
just running it, yeah.
and praying to all the gods of the universe. And they answered some prayers.
Yeah.
They
Not all of them,
They
though.
certainly did not care about the weather.
Yeah.
That was one that brutalized me every year. It's either too hot or it rains or
Yeah.
it's cold days or doesn't rain that weekend, but it rained every day leading up. So
Sure.
the setup is impossible.
Yeah.
You know, just stuff like that. But no, it was crazy. And
That is.
it really has made everything else in life easy. 'Cause it
Oh,
was
dude.
so
No
bad.
doubt. I mean, it's such a huge undertaking. There's so
Yeah.
many moving parts that go into that. Not
Yeah.
just from the day-to-day operational things, but even what you were just mentioning in regards to the risks that's associated with it from like a risk management standpoint, you know, how is this set up? How do people enter? How do people leave? I like all these things are risk-related
Yeah.
concepts that people don't necessarily
Sure.
originally think of, and that's something I've been learning over time too. And I'm in the same boat with a lot of the skate events. It's kind of like, hopefully this goes fine, you know?
Like when they're done at a skate park, is that insured? The skate park?
Yeah, so I think the skate park, I would imagine there is insured in some way through the city. You know, I would
They
imagine
probably
just
are
like,
insured to where they're not liable if you get hurt. Like
Yeah,
by entering
exactly.
beyond that
Yeah, like I
gate.
would imagine it's like a park. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If you go to a park and fall off a swing and break your wrist, you know, you can't sue
Yeah.
the city because they put the park up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
You assume that risk by participating.
Yes.
But I don't even know like how it goes for me because it's like, well, this person was throwing this event. They're responsible for the event at this park.
Yeah.
And so I probably should look
You
should look into it because
especially in a city like Chicago, they are
Dude,
strict on stuff.
totally. And so it's one of those things. We've had people get hurt all the time.
I
you
was
know?
the one I was at back in July. I think 2 people went to the hospital. A guy cracked his head
Yeah,
skating.
probably. Yeah.
Like
Dude.
it happens every time. It was bad. I guess there was someone there that hangs with you guys that was a paramedic.
Yes, Christine.
I think she or they took care of it.
Okay.
And they got to the hospital. But I was just talking to the guy beforehand with some friends.
I think I remember. Was it? Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, it was. I think it was either the last week of June.
Oh, that was
The Wilsons.
that was our friend. Yeah, it was this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
It
was
was
our friend Ralph. He cracked his head open
Yes,
that day.
Yes, he did.
Luckily, he's been skating for a long time and he's gotten hurt plenty of times and things. So it was a little bit more.
He knew how to fall.
Yeah, it was also we kind of knew the situation a little bit better. It's
Okay.
always different when it's somebody we don't know, and that's why we know Christine originally too. Is because when we do that Montrose Harbor hurdle event where we take the kicker, the launch ramp, and put it at the end of the Montrose Harbor pier
Into the water?
into the water.
When do you do that?
So we typically do it at the end of August sometime.
Oh,
yeah.
You did it this year? I missed it.
Yeah, so we did it the first year just to see how it would go. Thought it would probably get rolled right away, you know, but lo and behold, leading up to the event, we did some promotion for it. And just because the concept's fun, like big launch ramp into the lake, people are getting towed in off like mini motorbikes, you know?
Yeah.
So people are fired up. And I'm already nervous about the event from a risk standpoint because I'm thinking, dude, there's a million ways people can get severely hurt at an event like this because
Yeah.
now we're incorporating water, you know? And so I'm buying life jackets, getting as many things I can, getting my little spiel in the beginning ready about, you know, skating at your own risk and understanding that, sure, maybe we're going off a launch ramp into the water.
At the beginning, you mean like telling everyone?
Yeah,
like
with
when
the
they show up?
microphone. Yeah,
How
before
many
we,
listen?
Not a lot, man. That's the thing.
The pain you're feeling as you explain it and you're serious and I'm laughing.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about, because I know what that feels like,
Yeah.
when like nobody's taking you seriously.
For sure.
And the risk is all on you.
Yeah.
And you have a big heart, so you have a big guilty conscience about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because why else would you do these things for fun?
Yeah.
And then when you do have to explain stuff with a megaphone or
Yep.
microphone, at a meeting or a volunteer thing, or even to the people that are the
Sure.
patrons, and like 10% listen.
Sure. Yeah.
It is infuriating.
And then also it's one of those
dangerous.
things. It's one of those things too. People show up afterwards. Some people, yeah, of course. I don't expect everybody to listen. I do think all in all, a lot of the people were receptive to it. But this year they were more receptive to it because last year we had a pretty serious accident, and that's why we know Christine. Is because
wow.
I was more so worried about, okay, what if somebody kind of falls and loses consciousness prior to entering and falls into the water.
Sure.
So we need people watching the water and things like that, trying to think of different scenarios. There's one guy who kind of pulled up a little bit later, not super familiar with skating, still skates, but not super often from my understanding. I think it turns out he was under the influence of a handful of different things at the time too. He's getting towed in off a motorbike, right? And so he's holding on to the back. And the ground at Montrose Harbor, is super rough. It's got the cheese grater lines in it I think it helps with grip and things like that and probably lasts a little bit longer. But anyway, we had these boards with big soft wheels on them. And the problem is when they got wet, the bushings in the trucks get extra loose. So the boards get really wobbly already. They're wobbly in the first place, and they get even more wobbly is what I'm saying because of they're now wet. But anyway, he's getting towed in, and he gets the speed wobbles getting towed in before the ramp, and he loses control, falls in like a really out of control way, and it happened right in front of me as I was getting out of the water. Full head smacker, like hits the deck in like one of the, and yeah, it was horrible, dude. And so
You saw it right in front of you?
It happened right in front of me, and I saw him kind of go limp and lose consciousness, and so I was like, holy shit. And everybody was kind of silent for a second, and I just remember popping up, said, hey, are you all good? He was now on his back. And he kind of comes to and opens his eyes. And the first thing he says is, I can't feel my legs. And I was like, my heart, sank. I was like, this happened, mind you, within the first 5 minutes of the event. This was like, we are just getting started. So next thing I know, I'm like yelling to my friends, like, yo, somebody grab the ramp and get it out of here, put it back in the truck ASAP, just so that we kind of clear the scene of what's going on here, first and foremost. 2, now everybody, we're trying to figure out what to do. And thankfully, Christine was there, and she has the EMT experience, and it just brought so much credibility to the table into the situation. Because when you have a big group like that, and nobody necessarily from a medical standpoint knows exactly what to do, there's going to be a lot of opinions on what should happen. Some people are going to say, dude, he just hit his head, he's awake now, give him a second, and he'll be fine. You just chill, But then there's other people who take it more seriously and things like that. And so that's how we met Christine. She came through, and it was, oh man, it's a total godsend in that moment.
What did she do in that moment?
Well, she just provided the credibility to enforce, because I was more so leaning like, hey, somebody call the paramedics. If we can't touch this dude. If he's saying he can't feel his legs, nobody touch him,
yeah.
And so then she came in and was saying, and kind of better explained like the severity of what that could be, and then it got everybody else on board, because it's hard when you have a big group like that.
Yeah.
and everybody's like, just do this, just do that,
Especially
blah, blah, blah.
skaters.
Yeah, for sure.
Tough skaters, you fall all the time.
Exactly. And so, so that was crazy. And the paramedics ended up coming, and nothing ended up happening. He went to the hospital, got an MRI, totally like clean. I think I would imagine, had a minor concussion and things like that too.
Or major.
Or major, minor, major, whatever. Yeah, dude. Like, but
if you hit your head and you can't feel your legs, it seems pretty major.
It's one of those things. If you do, like, when you do lose consciousness and then come to, for sure, at first everything's kind of still tingly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so thankfully, all things considered, he was okay.
Yeah.
Of course, still a serious injury, but so that was the first time we did that. And then so the next year I was like, shit, I don't know if I'm going to run this back, but I feel like I have to because we didn't really get a shot at it, and I think we could do it safer.
How many people did it, like go off the ramp?
That first year, maybe 10. I'm telling you, it was the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. This year, we ran it for a good hour and a half to 2 hours. We had tons of people going off.
How many people did it?
Like how many people
Went off the ramp?
went off the ramp? So we kind of did like a little bit of a vetting system this year. And so in a sense of, we need to make sure that you're capable of skating down and getting off the ramp, you know? And so we had a couple friends who were just vetting the crowd and making sure people were capable of doing it in the first place. And then for people who were a little bit more entry level, because it's still a big ramp to get off of, we had smaller ramps that people could participate on. And we had some people designated as lifeguards and like way more.
Is this unofficial? Like, is this connected to the city or
no,
anything?
everything's
So the police, no one does anything?
No, not a single event we've ever thrown has had a permit or anything. Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
And that's why I'm trying to do it legit, because it's scary when it's all on you.
Oh, dude.
You just
It's
see
for sure.
the
Totally.
insurance right before your eyes.
Yeah.
The getting sued to silver suit or whatever
Oh,
kind of
dude,
suit.
I know. And so I got to figure that out, but
I was going to say, I thought it might have been something through like an event to like the park district or something, because you probably can get people to sign a paper
course.
before they do it that
Yeah.
they can't sue if they get
True.
hurt.
Yeah.
You might still be able to do it.
I think, I do think, to be honest, for next year for that particular event, for the hurdle event, because we got different plans for it this upcoming year, like kind of even bigger and crazier, it might be a more heavily vetted crowd, and maybe it will require whatever, a life vest, or will require a waiver just for the
they don't wear
sake-
life vests doing it? Life vests doing it?
if they don't want to.
They
Yeah.
should, you should tell them they have to.
For sure. Yeah, dude.
Maybe
There's
they
some,
had a helmet too.
yeah, dude. That's
Because that
what
guy
I'm-
wouldn't have had that problem if he had a helmet
For
on.
sure. Yeah, dude, it's just hard. Like, how it goes with the skate crowd if you're semi-familiar,
Hey,
you know.
You got to tell me, you want to do this wild... Like,
People are going to do whatever they want, and that's what's hard. Like,
I know.
And so, and it's
You're not wrong.
it's also one of those things too, like, yeah, dude, it's a very complex situation when it comes down to, like, letting people make those decisions based on what they think's possible for what they can do,
Yeah, but you got to remind them that that event in that moment isn't a solo adventure. It's not them. It's about the entity, which is
Exactly.
what you do
For sure.
and the community. So it's this thing, although it is your own personal choice
Sure.
to wear a helmet or a life jacket, which I get and I
Yeah.
agree with.
Yep.
It's the second you bring it into an entity that
Yeah.
involves other people, you got to respect.
Yeah, true. I
that.
feel you. I
just
I
have to.
I completely
Because on
agree.
your own,
Yeah.
I don't agree with telling anyone what to do. With
Yeah,
that
right.
Stuff. If they want to go out there with
Sure.
no padding, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's your life,
Yeah. I
But-
totally feel you.
Yeah.
You trust me.
I get it though. There's some
Gotta
people,
figure this
it
out,
is
man.
so hard.
Yeah.
Especially like, man, the skate crowd, bizarre people. Bizarre people. I love it because it's so unbelievably cool and nice.
man, it's the sickest.
Zero issues. You walk in, you're like, I think they're gonna kill me. And then you sit down with them, and everyone's like, "You want some weed?
Yeah,
you want
right.
a drink? And you
Yeah.
got hot dogs.
Yeah, right.
You like this music? Oh, check out this!" And everyone's cheering each other on.
Totally, man.
If someone does a
Totally.
trick, and zero hate,
Yeah.
zero negativity.
Yeah, right.
Across the whole thing, but you look around, you're like, someone might.
Yeah.
I might get hurt.
Sure.
I feel like I'm gonna get hurt here.
In
Not
one
even
way or another.
skateboarding.
Yeah,
Someone's
right.
gonna hurt me, and no, like
That's
it's the
funny, man.
opposite.
Yeah,
of that.
for
I
sure.
can't explain it, but
Right.
I've always seen it my whole life. But yeah, it's an interesting crowd.
Totally.
Very fascinating.
Totally.
Yeah, I think I've always had the love and respect of the skaters. I didn't do it. I was doing adjacent crazy stuff.
Right.
That warranted like respect.
Sure.
And I've always felt like that kinship, but I've never understood the madness of like the tricks they'll do and how badly injured they'll get.
Yeah,
Just
right.
Get up and keep doing it.
Yeah,
It's
for
like-
sure.
I mean, once I got hurt, I stopped doing the thing and I found another avenue to not ever get
Sure.
hurt again. But I don't really like pain.
Yeah, right, man.
I think some skaters are addicted to it. or
Totally. Yeah,
something.
just addicted to the feeling that comes from kind of the battle and then the make. You know what I mean? That's the addicting portion to it. And just to touch on your point about kind of the camaraderie that's associated with the scene, that I think in a huge way is what ties people together in that sense, because skateboarding is very subjective in that way where let's say you're, professional or amateur or whatever, you've been skating for a very long time, and you're skating alongside somebody who's brand new, and we're at Wilson Skate Park. Let's say the professional's going for whatever, some crazy trick in the deep end of the bowl that's high risk and very dangerous, while the beginner is trying to roll in down the one bank on the far side that's a little steeper than the others, One is obviously a lot more risk associated with it because of the severity of the trick, or they're gaining air or whatever for the professional. But for the beginner, there's still an immense amount of risk associated with that maneuver because that's the level they're at. And so that's what I think is a big camaraderie piece, is that it's subjective to the user in that way where the risk is the same, no matter if you're rolling in on the bank for your first time or you're trying something crazy in the deep
Right.
end, because it both requires the same amount of mental commitment and it both requires the same amount of physical commitment and can both end in some sort of physical injury. You know, that could be equally as bad because of the skill levels of what you're trying. And so
Absolutely.
It just ties everything together. That's why skaters can get hyped on somebody's first drop in, or they can get hyped on something ultra crazy that just went down, because you understand what goes into doing these things, you know, and that's what really, I think, brings people together. And that's what you talk about, like with the kind of the kinship or the, you know, paying your dues and things like that. And in that way, it's so cool to see that, man. Like that, I love that aspect of it. It's amazing to see those little breakthroughs, no matter what level people are at. That's a huge defining factor of what skateboarding is. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure just like any avenue and any industry you go into, you're gonna have some outliers.
Yeah, right.
On the bell curve of the skateboarding world, you'll have some people that are probably not so nice and a little cocky and arrogant because they're better at a younger age.
Sure.
And then you probably get some people who are, you know, think they're really good, but they're not.
Sure.
And they talk like it. You know, you probably get all of it. But
Yeah.
from what I experienced there, it's the first time around a ton of skateboarders in a while. I mean, there was hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any, zero negative anything.
That's awesome,
which
man.
was good.
That's great. I'm glad you experienced that too, especially a little bit more like outside looking in. That's been a huge piece to the concept and idea behind Wilson Wednesday. The park lends itself in a lot of ways to being accessible for people at all skill levels for skating. One, there's great places just to kind of kick it and hang out for the day, but there's also a lot of great features and obstacles to skate on too. And that's been a huge kind of intentional push for the event of, hey, this event is entirely for everybody, you know, and I want the event to kind of be like this microcosm of what skateboarding just stands for and is innately. Like, I don't really do a whole lot for that event besides throw it, you know. I get the food, cook the hot dogs, plan the days I go there, come with the speaker, get there on time, and run it. And I kind of just let skateboarding do the rest. It attracts what it's going to attract, and the beauty of that event and how kind of cohesive it is, how many people show up, just being able to hang out together and have fun and have a good vibe. That's just what skateboarding is when you let it do its thing. You know, just provide the space for it, and skating does the rest. You know, that's been the idea behind the whole thing. So I'm glad you felt that way. You know, that really means a lot. Yeah.
No, it was great. You know, I was very impressed, and the skaters I talked with, hung out with, they were doing some wild stuff. And I like that, like unspoken, it's your turn, go down the bowl. Like everyone kind of has this unspoken waiting list, and like there's no arguing or fighting over it. Everyone's just patient with that, and they know when they should or should not get in someone's way or in the bowl. There's a young kid who went there. It was really good, but he had like a helmet and knee pads and stuff. He was awesome. Do you know what I'm talking about? He was like 13, 14 years old, this kid.
What's his name? I wonder if he was at that event.
I don't remember his name, but he was good.
Yeah, there's one kid, his name, he lives in Vegas now, but his name's JoJo Jones. He usually comes padded up. Was he skating the bowl? And was he doing like crazy stuff? Yeah, it was probably him. He's like a vert skater, skates with Tony Hawk and stuff.
He's professional? Or
he's
almost,
not. He's not professional, but he skates. Yeah, vert ramps, the really big, tall vertical ramps that Tony Hawk and other vert skaters ride, and rides them very well. He's not professional yet, but he has a handful of sponsors, and he's probably on his way. Yeah, I mean, he's still very young. He's 15, I think, now.
Okay, I was close. Yeah, I thought 14. He might have been 14 then. Yeah. No, that was
And maybe
wild.
he's even a little bit older now. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, he rips. Yeah, JoJo's sick.
There were some really good rippers. There was G? Yeah. I've seen him randomly.
Yeah,
I've seen him under I-55 on Loomis.
For sure.
By the Duck Inn, that restaurant. I always walk that way from here and go there. Or when I walk to Pilsen to get food and stuff.
Yeah, on Archer and Loomis, are you saying, or no?
Yeah, it's on Archer and Loomis under I-55.
Yep. That's the new spot.
Yeah, the new spot I've been noticing more and more. I walked past when Miguel was there filming and they were laying concrete for something. This was, I don't know, in the summer?
Sure.
September. Yeah, I saw that. I saw something online, maybe on your page, of a long rail.
Yeah, it was a Halloween event we did there. Dude, that was another one. Like, yeah, that rail was 50 feet long.
Did people make it across?
Yeah, people did, and it was pouring rain. And so, the middle was a total mud pit. You know, it's a long rail in general, but in the rain was crazy, and same thing. Like, man, people, I don't know if you saw. Oh, man, people were, definitely getting worked. I mean, you have to really get some good speed to get across that thing, you know, but that was a super fun event, dude. That brought out a lot of people, and that was just a really, really good time, everybody in costumes.
Yeah, that's fun.
Especially doing it at that spot, too. Again, just like we just been building this spot Renegade underneath the bridge, and then like through this whole event.
Wait, that concrete laying, all that's just Renegade? That's not like sanctioned
Oh
or anything?
yeah, man. That's like you just see if it sticks.
It's amazing
Yeah.
what you can do in this city. I mean,
Oh,
I
dude.
feel so lawless in this city.
Yeah, dude.
Like I just like will walk to my friend's
so
house
funny,
with
man.
like a glass beer and a joint.
Yeah.
And fear nothing, and
For
walk
sure.
past police, and they don't even look at me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, can you just do whatever you want? Like,
Yeah.
it's good and bad.
We've
because it
had-
can go the other way. Criminals,
Of course.
doing whatever they want.
Sure.
So, but
No, we've had run-ins with people and plenty of because Gerardo and Chris, Mikey, Miguel, all that crew, all the dudes who are riding for Sapient and repping it and stuff have been building a ton of spots all over the place.
yeah,
Different concrete spots and just DIY spots where you just let things pop up, see if they stick. Maybe the next day they're bulldozed or gone, but then you just find the next spot to build
Yeah.
it and see what works. You know, and this Irish Bank spot, the one under 55, is what the name's coined at the moment.
Irish Bank.
Yep,
Why
Irish
that?
Banks. It's been called Irish Banks for a very long
Oh.
time. I don't actually know the origin story behind the name.
Probably mob related. An Irish man
yeah.
with the last name Banks was
Yeah.
whacked there in like 1930.
I like that story. I'm just gonna tell people that.
That
That's a
sounds
good one.
perfect.
Yeah.
Southside Chicago.
Yeah, right.
That sounds exactly like
that
what
sounds,
happened.
Sounds way better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these spots been popping up, and there's been plenty of encounters where police come and they more so are curious as to what you're doing, because it's not like we're just like a bunch of kids. Like, we're all adults at this point, and
Yeah.
things look legit.
Full
Like,
grown men.
yeah, for this big pour, man, for the most recent one, for that huge quarter pipe, there was a concrete truck
I saw
underneath
it.
the bridge.
I drove
you know?
past it
and
multiple
so
times.
it looks super legit
yeah,
because it
I
kind of
thought it was. I was like,
is.
there's a concrete truck.
And they always ask, like, what are you guys doing? It's, oh, we're building building skate features or a little skate park and stuff. And they're like, oh, do you have a permit for that? Or can you? And we're like, no, we build them out here because there's not that many places to skate. And so we just want to build some stuff for the community, you know, in this area. That's what we're trying to do, pop up more spots and things. And then the question's always, are you allowed to do that? And that's what they're asking us.
Yeah.
We're like, dude, we don't really know, are we? You know? And in this case with the bridge, that's Illinois Department of Transportation. You know, that's their property. And so that's going to be their jurisdiction over time.
I love that. I love me a good legal loophole.
Yeah, right. So-
I have gotten away with
So,
a lot because
I
of
would
that.
imagine.
With that specifically, because it was bordering a different city where this fest was. Like right behind my yard was the cutoff to a different city.
Okay.
So when those neighbors, they live in apartment complexes, separated by a thin strip of forest, but you can hear everything. It just
Yeah.
blocked vision. And so from these apartments, they can't see anything, but they hear all this music coming. When they called their police, they call a different city. They answer and go, that's not our jurisdiction. We'll
Right.
have to switch you
Oh,
over
dude,
to
that's
that
so
city.
lucky, right?
So then they get the phone call and they go, but you're a justice. I was Hickory Hills, they're justice.
Yeah.
You're a justice citizen. Justice has to deal with it. And they
Wild.
go, but justice just will deal with it. And they just get lost in
The back and forth.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
that's beautiful.
I had a police officer explain it to me once.
Yeah.
Because they loved Easy Fest, the police. Bizarre. They was like, oh, we wish you can go, but they always, make us work the shift.
Sure.
And one police officer once, when he was they would help get people out of that. I mean, it was crazy. They were very nice. And I remember one time we were dollying a porta potty around the house at like 2 a.m. after the fest, and a cop just shines his light from his car on us in the
Sure.
street. I'm used to running at that point.
Yeah, right.
As you might be too. And this point, he's just like, oh, I'm just giving you guys a light to help you. And he guides
Nice,
us as we
what's
pull a
up.
porta potty through the whole yard.
Dude,
He's
that
just
is wild. You run it in your backyard.
in a backyard.
That is
just
so
in a
sick.
backyard, a plot of
especially like
grass.
just heavy, like so residential in that way.
Super residential,
the
surrounded by
difference-
houses, yeah.
The difference between these spots, we go to abandoned places where the spot ends up getting cleaner than it was, and so there's already reason for it to stay. It's because
Yeah.
you're cleaning up an area. It's not like you're going like. Yeah, it's totally different when you involve neighbors and residents, But
and
if you're-
kids.
of
For some
course.
reason, you
Yeah.
can do the same thing as 15, you'll get stopped.
Yep.
18, probably stopped. 21, eyes look to you.
Yep.
30,
People
people are like, oh, you're an adult.
they're
You're
just
doing
like,
adult stuff.
what are you doing out here with no profit incentive?
Yeah,
What
and
do you
if
mean you're just
everyone's like
building this for fun?
respectful
Yeah,
and
right.
stuff, and you're not making like leaving garbage everywhere, they're like, oh, well, I don't know.
For sure.
O-
I feel
Other
you.
adults don't always like to tell other adults they
What to
can't
do.
something.
Yeah,
They
it's-
definitely like telling kids.
Totally.
But when it's
That's
another
a great
person,
point, actually. Yeah.
like some will try, but screw them. But most don't.
Sure.
They're just like, I don't know. That's a full-grown adult.
Yeah.
If that's what they're doing.
Not really
who am
sure
I?
what's going on, but yeah, I feel you, man. That's cool.
That's so funny. Just
Yeah.
these like renegade, random
Yep.
impromptu spots. Well, they're probably not impromptu. You probably scope out a good spot.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes it's a little bit more impromptu in the way where you just kind of you skate past it or pull up on it, and it seems like a good thing, and then you try and get after it as fast as you can.
Yeah,
but
that's so funny. Yeah, that's a great loophole. Do it under the state highway.
yeah. The problem is though, if you really do start building it out, and it does turn into something bigger, like then you're gonna it's gonna be difficult. That'll be a whole legal thing over time if that park continues to get built, just because they could play the card of, hey, we're not going to be able to service the bridge because we got to get all these scissor lifts under here and cranes for maintenance over time and XYZ.
So you just got to leave it at its size now.
Or it's affecting its structure and things. And I mean, we still got plans to continue building for sure, because we're going to continue building until we run into those issues. That's the plan. Yeah. And then hopefully, because there's versions of this like all over the country, of things that have existed for a long time that exist underneath bridges,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of potential in this spot. I think right now, all the people who are involved in working there, it's an unbelievably talented group of people, from a construction and kind of finishing and building standpoint to art and everything in between, and planning and design and you name it. And so right now it's a really unique time. I think there's insane potential for that spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So we'll see. But
That's a thing. Skate parks under a highway. That's a common thing.
And majority of them are DIY skate parks. Those are usually start by people just pouring their own stuff and then eventually getting recognized by the city.
Yeah, I've seen the one up north. What's that big one up north?
Well, there's one. So there's one underneath Logan Square, or excuse me, not underneath Logan Square, in Logan Square, and I think it's over 90. It's over 90. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one also, there's a huge project going on for that right now. And there's been a few people spearheading that project. That park's really old and super dilapidated. But right now, there's an amazing rendering of a potential park that can go in there at the moment, a few $1 million type park that's really proper.
That's wild.
And they're working with the city to get all that synced. They're going that route. And that would be incredible if that goes through. It's just a huge undertaking, But from my understanding and when I spoke with them, they've made pretty fantastic headway on it and have a lot of backing from different state representatives and all sorts of stuff. So that would be a huge thing for Chicago skateboarding if that got built.
Yeah, because there's not too many like big skate parks that I'm aware.
Yeah, not.
There's the one in Grant Park.
Yeah,
Park?
That's going to be the most like recent, newer addition and stuff. And that's a great skate park too. But yeah, surprisingly for a city this size, compared to a lot of other big cities within a comparable size to Chicago, there's not a whole lot when it comes to skateboard parks particularly, and the quality of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's all good. That's what develops certain styles, and that's what makes skateboarding unique, is where you grow up skating, And so it's better not to necessarily have all these cookie cutter spots that are just kind of copy and pasted from every single city and township all throughout the states, because people develop certain ways based on what they're skating. And so
probably just builds or creates a lot of street skaters.
Yeah, street skaters. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of. I remember as a kid in the '90s, you barely saw those like metal clamps they'd put on like ledges.
The skate stoppers.
Yeah. And then like Tony Hawk came out.
Yeah.
And every couple of years as those games came out, I started seeing more and more of those.
For sure, they're everywhere now.
Oh yeah. Now it's really hard to find spots you could not see one of those. That's funny. And we haven't talked about your skateboarding company.
Yeah.
Now is it a shop, a skateboarding company, a skate sponsorship, a label? Like what is it exactly?
Yeah, so Sapient it's a skateboard company. It's a skateboard brand, but it's also an independent skateboard manufacturer. And so at the moment, I'm not manufacturing like for other brands. There's a lot of manufacturers out there. That's kind of how the skateboard world works. You have this, let's say you have 50 brands or 100 brands that exist. All of those brands get manufactured kind of across a handful of different manufacturing facilities. So they all come from similar factories. As of now, that's one of the unique things for Sapient right now, is the fact that all Sapient branded boards just get made in-house right here. And so that's a little bit different. It used to be like that back in the day, where a skateboard company was a company that made skateboards, and they made skateboards for their brand. It's just changed over time in that way. But kind of what we touched on, I'm really fascinated with building and love building different things, and fascinated with manufacturing and the systems involved too. And so it was just a really unique opportunity to be like, I'm just going to try and learn a little bit about this and try making boards and see what's up.
When did that happen? What year?
That started in 2000, and I kind of had the initial idea for it at the very end of 2018.
Okay.
I was working for a longboard company that used to be from New Jersey, but then the whole thing up and moved to Portland, Oregon. And so then I was in Oregon for a little bit, and I was working at their kind of distribution center there. Nothing was manufactured there. All the stuff would come from different manufacturers out one box, and then we re-put it together with the trucks and wheels and in another box, to shops or.
Where would it come from? Different country?
It depends. Some of the stuff was manufactured in the U.S., and then another one came from a pretty big manufacturer in Montreal, so
Okay.
Canada. But so I was working for them and kind of reached a dead end with what I was doing there, and that's when I started getting more fascinated and more interested of like, man, I really want to try making my own boards. I think it would be so cool. And so we ended up coming to kind of a dead end with that business as it was kind of like reaching the end of its life too, to some degree. And that's when I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to try and move back home. I'm going to call my parents and see if they could let me move home and start making boards in the basement because they had an unfinished basement at the time.
This is in Glen Ellen?
In Glen Ellen, yep. And so I called them and they were down and moved back in, I moved back in 2019. But then I spent a good amount of time traveling around and skating for as long as I could, and then still got back in at the end of 2019. I pressed my first skateboard in my basement in November of 2019.
Nice. And how does one press a skateboard? What goes into that?
Yeah, man, I'm still figuring that out myself. Yeah. No, it's pretty fun, man. You're essentially just making a piece of curved plywood. It's the same process where
Some type of steam to make it warp? Like how do you?
so you actually don't need steam. Some people it's called cold pressing, meaning that you're not heating up any of the molding elements or you're not heating up any of the stock material in order for it to form. It's made of 7 layers of thin maple veneer. And then in between each layer, you're obviously going to glue each piece together. You're going to put it together and you're going to smash it in between 2 molds that meet. And those molds are going to dictate the form of the skateboard. And so that's what... So if
because it's thin pieces, they're very malleable.
Exactly.
And what kind of glue do you use?
It's just like a regular water-based...
Old-fashioned Elmer's glue?
Kind of. Yeah, no, it's like it's a water-based like PVA adhesive.
Okay.
So it's
a nice adhesive.
Similar to Type Bond 3.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's a really cool process. But of course, like anything, it's not rocket science, but there's nuance involved to it mainly in regards to material storage, temperature, and humidity. Obviously, has a lot to go into it.
Absolutely.
How are these things stored? Because this is a living piece of stock material that's going to kind of move and twist in its own ways, which is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying to eliminate some of those variables and control the climate on the inside, on top of trying to figure out what's the adequate amount of glue based on the moisture content of the piece, how much pressure should it be going under, how are these presses getting built, there's a whole array of things.
There's definitely an art to it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so there's when it goes from, okay, I made 1 usable skateboard to I need to make 500 usable skateboards and it needs to be easy, that's where you need to figure out a whole lot more than just making one.
Manufacturing is the hardest part of any industry.
Oh, dude, it's fascinating.
By far.
Yeah, it's so interesting, though. It's like, how can you make these systems more efficient? How can you eliminate the variables? How do you make it consistent? How do you build quality into the system? It's so fun to figure out. I've made, from a pressing standpoint now, me and my friend are just working through another design here for 2 new presses this year. But I've designed and built the first 3. And so just going through the process of, building the presses themselves, working on the molds themselves, going through the whole thing from ground zero, it's just so fun to see how you learn each time. Like, you'll finish the press and I'll be stoked on it. It's like, yeah, we did it. But then the second you run some boards in, you're like, shit, I'm probably going to change this on the next one. You know what I mean? So it's never ending. You want that continuous improvement. That's all part of it.
How many have you made so far?
So right now there's 3. We have 3 operating presses at the moment, and then there's going to be 2 more that get built this winter.
I mean, how many boards have you created?
Oh, dude, I'm not really sure. Yeah, thousands. Yeah.
Okay, a lot. Okay.
Not like anything crazy. We actually really, to be honest, don't really even sell that many boards. We just started selling boards to shops, which has been so sick, being able to collaborate and work with shops in Chicago. They're only available in Chicago.
That's cool.
And then we sell online too, but you know how it goes. Online sales is kind of difficult to build. So I sell a few boards a month,
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, I'm just kind of working on building out these systems and refining like the procedures to hopefully be able to make more in mass quantity and eventually shift that focus a little bit more towards branding and sales. But for now, I got my other job at the restaurant. I teach skateboard lessons on the side. I'm obviously bunking in the shop. And so I'm staying patient with it where it doesn't really. It's great if I could sell some boards every month. It helps a lot, but it's not like the end all be all right now because
Right.
I'm trying to build kind of a little bit bigger of a concept and vision that is more long term.
Right.
Yeah.
How much do the boards you normally go for if you were to sell one?
Yeah, right now, so for a deck, depending on the shape, it's anywhere from 79 to 85. And that's going to be typically just a tad bit more expensive than what's getting offered right now, anywhere from $5 to $10, depending on the brand. That price point is not necessarily advantageous for me still, even though it's a little bit more in theory after doing all the process mapping and coming up with the cost.
Making a lot of it by hand.
Yeah, all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it doesn't make sense, but it will. Like once these systems get built out, I'm refining every day behind the scenes and know, okay, once I build this is gonna. I'm trying to make that price point work, because for now I want people skating the boards,
Right.
and the boards get destroyed, and it's also like, again, it's a piece of curved plywood, and it's meant to get wrecked, but it's so cool that you can make this like really beautiful kind of piece of art to some degree once it's all completed that started from nothing, just raw material, just to see it like immediately get wrecked. I kind of like, there's something that I love about that. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that
so
is weird.
for now, it's like I'm not trying to, there's no such thing in my opinion as like, this is an artisan handmade skateboard. It's like, dude, nah, just like you made the skateboard, it's going to get wrecked. Like, if you want to make it work, you got to make the systems to make it work. I want people to be able to afford the boards and to ride them, and I want them to be the highest quality possible. So that's on me to figure out. It's not on the consumer to be like, if I want this board, it's $120. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just kind of working on that.
Yeah, that's cool. I would love to check out the shop someday.
You've got to come through. I'd be happy to show you, and especially
Fascinated.
since you like building stuff
Love
too.
to, yeah.
It's a lot of interesting custom fixtures. There's because you're building everything around the particular product you're building. And skateboards, being this kind of weird 3-dimensional curved piece, requires some very unique fixturing and different jigs and stuff that I know people who are into woodworking or carpentry or any other trade really are interested in learning a little bit about because it's so custom.
It's so interesting because all the carpentry work I've done has always been, 90-degree angles and 45-degree angles and just framing stuff.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
nothing
Total
like
opposite.
that at all.
Yeah,
So it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you grow up doing
not really.
physical things, construction things like that, like working with tools?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Like here and there, and actually my introduction to it was skateboarding. Of like I'm trying to build this ramp, and it starts with like you put the cinder block outside and throw the piece of plywood on it.
Yeah.
But then over time you can kind of refine it. My friends and I started building all sorts of ramps in high school and things like that, and they were horrendous. They were
I was going to say that the classic throw a sheet of plywood on a cinder block usually doesn't work out well because there's that little bump lip at the beginning.
Yeah, right. You gotta rip off a street sign and put it down on it. So it's nice and
or
smooth.
you gotta cut an angle on the bottom. So
that was way too sophisticated.
I would
for us
usually
at
try to do
time.
that. I'd flip.
That's
I discovered
sick.
the 45-degree angle. And what was it? It's a 45 and like a 60 or something on most circular saws.
Yeah, for sure.
And I discovered that as a kid, and I was like, "What's this for?"
Nice.
And I realized, like, I can cut like angles.
That was way too complex for me.
I should not have been using. I was using, I think, about 6 or 7 years old. I started using power tools.
Nice, I
like,
love
no
it.
supervision.
Yeah, right. It's all good. He'll figure it out.
I cut through the power cable once when I was building my tree house in my backyard in the forest.
Yeah.
Like it's about 200 feet behind the house. And I was maybe 11. 11, I was cutting some wood, and I cut through the power cable. And I was like, what the heck? It's not working. And I looked at the cables cut, and I was like, crap, I need to fix this somehow before my dad gets home. But like, I don't know anything about electricity.
Yeah, right.
And I looked at the wires, and I just saw like a white and black and a...
Another white and black.
And then I saw the other white and black, and I was like, maybe I just like... strip off these wires and reconnect them.
Yeah, right.
And so I like unscrewed the housing of the saw, and I saw where it like bolted in the cable. And I just found like another black extension cord.
Beautiful.
And I just did that. And my dad never got in
That's
trouble. And I just
amazing, dude.
reconnected it all. And I was like, I guess
That's some serious intuition right there.
Well, I mean, it served me well because as I got older with all the audio stuff in the Fest, I had to do a lot of fixing cables and mending stuff. And you learn. I always say jokingly, I became like an unofficial electrical
that's
electrician,
so sick. I don't know shit about that. I wish
electricity is I learned a lot. I mean, between going to school for audio stuff, I learned a lot, but applying it and having to work on my house my whole life, It was one of those DIY houses with my family,
For sure.
I got really good.
That's so sick.
And it's never hurt. Well, I've been electrocuted a lot, but it's never hurt me as far as saving money in the future.
Sure.
I'm always working on stuff.
Yeah, dude, yeah, I feel that. That's legit.
right.
I
Do you
like
work
that.
on a lot of stuff yourself too at home?
Oh yeah, a ton. Well, yeah, I guess at the warehouse. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, eventually when I got a crib or something, definitely we're gonna be doing a ton of DIY. But the
Right.
problem is, so I worked at a cabinet shop for a very brief period of time in 2020, right before COVID. I went to St. Petersburg, Florida. My friend's dad has a super badass cabinet shop called Bright Woodworks. They do really high end kitchen, mainly kitchen cabinets, but for any kind of room of the house and custom furniture too.
Okay.
And I was doing more. I was just a shop hand. It was basically an opportunity for me to like see some sort of commercial woodworking environment. And I was sweeping the floors, helping them organize some things. I was on the rough lumber side, so kind of like receiving stock on the other side when we were pushing stuff through the joiner or the planer. Basic things, just trying to get my hands dirty. But yeah, super badass shop and just like beautiful, really tight tolerance pieces. You know what I mean? And then I went back and I'm making skateboards. And same thing, there's a certain attention to detail that's required.
Yeah.
But then everything I learned at the cabinet shop about building cabinet structures or other types of furniture, I still do in my shop, but I do it totally DIY and super quick, you know? And so I think every once in a while I got to sprinkle in, a more, what would be the word? Kind of just a more tightly designed project to make sure I'm still got it going in that category because I just build like stuff just goes up quick and it's like, it works, whatever. It's in my shop. It doesn't need to be perfect, But it is nice to have that skill set for when the time comes. If one day I'm trying to build new kitchen cabinets, I do want every reveal on every face to be even, and you want everything to be proper,
Yes.
So I got to sprinkle that in because lately I've just been like, tacking stuff together with scrap because it's cheap. But
it's fun though.
I know it is fun.
There's something fun about also not being too precise.
Yeah,
'Cause then
totally.
you don't have to be stressed out about it. Like try. Don't not try.
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
of course.
You get a lot of leeway with wood.
Yeah.
It's not like metal.
No.
You get so much leeway with it. I mean, you could be off by a 16th of an inch and no one even knows.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, one of my dreams someday when I retire is to build like really cool custom cabins for people.
Cool.
But that accommodate, like I would interview them first for like hours.
Sure.
But not let them know what's going on. So I could find out like if they talk about photography, I build them like a dark room.
Yeah, like some nuanced stuff. Yeah, I like
really
this.
cool stuff. They're into audio and sound. Building like a listening room for like
That's
acoustic,
so
but like
sick.
not let them know and just like surprise them. Like
If you're hiring at that time, just let me know. I'm down to help.
I loved it. I built two cabins in my old backyard. One was this cool fort place that used to have a bunch of skateboards in it that Miguel actually gave me when we were like 16. I've known him forever.
Sick.
I think I've known him like 18 years. And yeah, there was a bunch of modest ones from that skate shop Modest that used to be in Berwyn. I think it was Berwyn or Cicero.
I don't remember exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of those. It had like blue line train on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And that cabin was just, I winged it and I slowly built it over years. It had a fireplace, had 5 rooms, a music room, all this stuff. But I built it as a teenager. When I was 25, I built a really nice one behind it where I actually like laid concrete and put pylons down like 40 inches below the frost line and hooked up like Ethernet and power to it. And I had that heater was the heater in it. It was huge though. It had a loft. I lived in there for a couple of years to save money on rent and rented out my rooms.
Sick.
It was insulated, full drywall, 16-foot ceilings. It was awesome.
It's amazing.
It was really cool.
Were you actually like laying logs on the outside for the frame?
For the
do
foundation, I did 10-inch pylons in diameter that went down 40 inches with rebar in them. I let those sit for a while. I planed them and make sure they're all level in 3 different dimensions. And then I laid 4x4 by 12-foot treated wood on top of the pylons, lifted off the ground, treated so those listening, they won't rot. And then I did perpendicular to that 2x8s that went 16 feet, every 16 inches across that, and that was the foundation. And then I laid 1-inch very heavy plywood on top of that to keep it good.
So sick.
And yeah, and then
that's amazing.
I have a bunch of photos of it.
I would love to see that because I want to do that.
It was awesome. It wasn't, I think I used, so every year at DZ Fest, some of the wood I would buy for it, I had to recycle. I couldn't, it wouldn't be structurally sound to use it again based on the holes from the nails and all that. But it still could be used for something, just maybe not that.
Yeah, right.
So I would recycle it and I used it to I would use it for different stuff. I used it to build staircases for the stages. I'd give it away to people for stuff.
Right.
I used it to build, some of it I used to build this cabin. So I think all in all, it was maybe like $2,500 in material.
That's insane.
And it was, all I really needed to do is build a bathroom and like a small kitchen. I would have been fine. But it was 12 feet by 16 feet.
That's awesome.
And then it was really tall. I had a loft with a bed, sound system, desk, couch, a fireplace.
Dude, that is so sick.
Yeah, and it was much nicer and more square than the old cabin, the DZ that we named DZ Fest and DZ Records after. But that one, again, it was like a shack cabin, but it was still really cool. I mean,
Sounds amazing.
We had parties in there all around. I built a fireplace in it out of brick, and it was so dangerous, these fires. But I just didn't let anybody know how dangerous they were.
Yeah, right.
When I would prep for the fires, I would get blankets or towels wet,
just in case.
and hide them around the DZ on the inside, like underneath stuff. And I would get 2 5-gallon buckets of water and put hot water with salt in them so they wouldn't freeze because it'd be really cold out. And I'd put them on the outside where the fireplace was, but behind the wall. Oops, sorry, Mike. Outside behind the wall where the fireplace was.
Yeah.
I cut a hole where the fireplace was and put a piece of wood that's easily removed.
Sure.
So
You
just in case the fire gets taken, just throw water in there.
I love it.
And if there's fire on the inside, I have all these wet towels I could like hit.
For sure.
No one ever knew.
It's a great process, honestly.
No one ever
It's
knew.
perfect.
This place had one door in and out, which is like, big rule of thumb is to have 2 ways in and out.
In theory. Yeah,
No.
right. It's all good.
But I would
It's a cabin, dude.
I would
Yeah.
explain to people, I'm like, if there's a fire, if you grab these rafters and swing all your weight, you can kick through the wall and get
sure.
out. And they're
Yeah.
like, what? I'm like, just if you have to do it.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
okaying you kicking my walls down.
That is so funny.
It was a
That is
wild time.
Wild.
That was a wild place. I mean, yeah, it was 4 rooms, the front room TV, a couch with a bunk bed, cabinet. That room I built in 2005. And then you go to the side, and there's the music room with the table. We'd always move that table out and have like dance parties in there. And that was 2007. And then there was an upstairs that was also 2007 where we'd all sleep.
Sure.
And then the back room where the fireplace was, it was layered in Arizona iced tea cans.
No
We
way.
had
Yeah,
like
that's
1,000 of
awesome.
them layering it.
That's a throwback.
Yeah.
I feel like
Funny enough, they were 99 cents in 2008, and they're
Yeah.
still 99 cents
Yep,
now.
yep.
They're the one thing not affected by inflation.
that's beautiful.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think it probably does work.
I think they just lessen the quality of the ingredients.
Probably.
In it.
Yeah, it's just getting shittier and shittier every year to keep that 99
We had
99 cent
we had
price
1,000 cans in there. The funniest part when we tore that down, I moved, getting rid of all those cans, and we were like smashing them with sledgehammers. It was so funny. But and then the back room had like skylights, and it was a hangout spot. And
Dude, it sounds amazing.
we had the craziest.
I need to see
parties there.
photos of that.
I have a lot of photos. We have some good footage of it. A lot of it will be in the documentary. Hopefully that comes out next year, and there'll be a lot in there. And yeah, it was just this really fun, creative space where all the strange people of the world of society back then, and the skaters, the artists, the musicians, the comedians, anyone who just wasn't going to do something normal in life.
Yeah, sure.
By normal, I mean, I don't know what people think are normal, what's normal anymore.
Yeah,
but
okay, I guess that's true.
it attracted the odd
Yeah, sure, the
characters,
odds and
which
ends.
I
Yeah,
loved
for
because
sure,
that's
that's what
me,
you
and,
want.
and I
Yeah.
met a lot of those people I'm still friends with today, and it's very because again, I wasn't like a skater, but it was so close to like the way so many skaters
sure.
live and their vibe.
Yeah, right, for
That I've
sure.
always been like the
It's
adopted
adjacent.
skater. I've always
Yeah,
been
no
like
doubt.
allowed in the crew
Yeah,
without being in it because I did the crazy stuff too.
Yeah, sure.
Just different crazy stuff.
Yeah, yep, different.
Yeah,
I love it.
I noticed something that we have in common, which is even though you lose a lot of time and money and probably don't even get all the respect you need, you still do a bunch of stuff for a ton of people and masses
Sure.
out of the own kindness of your heart.
That's very nice. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right? That's what I noticed when I saw you at Wilson.
Yeah.
I was like, so these guys serving all this hot dogs, brings the sound system, probably the grill, probably the table, probably the
Sure.
coolers, probably orchestrates it all, deals with all the good, bad, and the ugly, probably deals with most of the risk. And does everyone even know that? Do people really understand what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how'd that happen? How'd that happen in your life, your personality? Why are you doing all these things?
Oh, yeah. That's just kind of to give back to skating, you know, like, and also, yeah, it's really about skating has such an emphasis on the community, you know, and wanting to be a part of that and wanting to give back to that and provide a space for people to feel that community and feel, how beautiful it can be, And that's really the big thing I would really want to be able to create is just a space for people to be comfortable, to hang out, to skate, to have a good time, and to meet people, you know, to meet friends where they could skate outside of Wilson, and to, just build that community, man. You know how it goes. I mean, life is like, can get crazy sometimes, and actually often, you know, and
Every
there's
day.
so many ups and downs and difficult parts to it. And so trying to kind of strip back all the noise as much as you can and focus on things that allow you to kind of just reconnect to things that are more simple, to your basic kind of like, to yourself, to your basic humanhood, to your friends, you know, as simple as just getting together, spend the day at the skate park, have some fun, connect with somebody, and enjoy the day, you know, like trying just to keep things simple, you know, that's kind of the catalyst for it. And the idea behind it was just to help cultivate the scene here as much as we can.
Yeah.
Bring more people together, man, everybody in, you know, that's what skating's about. And so,
Did you grow up around that mentality, that environment, like friends, parents?
yeah, definitely, definitely family for sure. It's we always had a big emphasis ever since I was young, like on family and extended family, the importance of like that unit, you know. And so I think that's definitely played a huge role in my outlook now, from like a friends to family type of scenario of trying to build that community for people who aren't obviously like blood related and things too. But definitely it was family. Family has a ton of influence on that. Yeah.
And then the Vienna beef thing, how did that come about?
Yeah,
the hot dogs.
Yeah, for sure. I hit them up just to see. I thought it would be a really cool opportunity to collaborate with another Chicago-based brand, and they're obviously very iconic in that way, just because Chicago is known for hot dogs, it's known for its Italian beefs, it's known for all the classic Chicago food. And I thought it would be sick just because we're putting out a lot of hot dogs every Wednesday, man. The event's 3 times a month, you know, for 6 months straight. And so there's a lot of hot dogs that go that people tear through. And so I was like, I'm gonna hit them up and see if they'd be down to support it in some way or be a partner and sponsor it and things like that. And so we were chatting in the beginning, and it was sick. They donated all the stuff for the first Wilson Wednesday of the year, which was helpful because at first too, just from a logistical standpoint, I was like, if I could just like go get this stuff in bulk from them, you know, that would be so helpful just for me. So I don't need to run to 5 different stores every Wednesday and try and get everything. I could get a freezer, freeze some stuff. It would just make things logistically for the event, you know, run a little bit smoother on the back end. But yeah, so it was sweet. They donated for the first one, they donated for the last one, but then in between they gave me a discount on some of the dogs. But they like have some pretty high quality hot dogs, and even their discounts like pretty steep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like compared to just going and getting hot dogs at Walmart or at Jewel or whatever.
The Vienna beef ones are the best.
You know, I mean, they're so good. And so we'll see. Next year we're gonna probably partner with them again in some capacity, but a little bit less. You know what I mean? Just so that it works for both parties in that way. You know, because
I have an idea.
Let me hear it.
I might tell you off mic
That's fine.
because it's one of those.
Yeah.
It's an idea of a brand we were talking about earlier off mic. If you remember, I talked about how they came 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then something I could say this on mic. When I was at the Wilson Wednesday, when I was there, I can't help but just start thinking of ideas of collaboration no matter what I do, everywhere I go. And I saw like the corner, and I was like, well, the big tent and my sound systems. I've really good sound systems. Why aren't bands playing right now?
For sure. Yeah.
Like
for
Chicago local bands.
Yeah, no, I fuck with that. That would be sick.
Yeah. I'm like, it wouldn't even be hard. You wouldn't have to do anything.
Yeah, right.
I just gotta text some people and it's done.
Sure.
And I could have legit sound system with legit
so
sound engineers working. So it'll sound very good. Like a music venue, but there. I have all the gear. I wouldn't have to do anything.
Maybe we plan that shit for the first one of next year.
When is it?
It would be sometime either in mid-May or early June.
I like that.
Like, we got time. You know what I mean? All things considered.
Yeah.
Things move quick, but could be sick.
Let's do it. Maybe early June so the weather's like perfect.
Yeah, right.
And everyone's like done with the slowdown of like if school and stuff, everyone's like free for the summer to go out.
I feel you.
Know? Yeah. Let's do it.
Could be good. I'd be down, dude. I love that type of stuff. Fire it up.
That company I mentioned, they could drop off a lot of fun stuff for us.
Totally.
So hot dogs, drinks.
Sure. Just get it cracking.
Music and skating.
Yeah, man. That's fun. Yeah, and that's one thing I like have not thought of at all is like just been kind of doing this, the Wilson stuff and all the events. I just like, all right, I'm just going to put this together, you know, but I've never thought of like other sponsors. And I was like, wait, there's like, I could do so much with that because like right now I'm just putting it together with whatever money I have left over from the restaurant. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, I could totally, I mean, we have so much content and so many like, to be honest, from like a participation rate from Wilson Wednesday, like how many people actually show up every week and how many hot dogs we actually go through and how many people are there and the breadth of people are there from a target audience standpoint.
Yeah.
If you're like going to be talking to sponsors and all that shit, like it's a pretty amazing event. It spans people from as young as 5 years old. There's people who are skating in their 50s. It takes beginners. It takes professionals. Everybody in between is all in one spot, you know, and the whole community comes together and just kicks it. It's amazing. And so I definitely this winter, I want to give some thought to what brands I'd hopefully like to try and partner with in the future a little bit for some of these bigger events and just run it up, you know, and see how big we can get it and how fun it could be for the people to participate in it. You know, that's the most exciting thing. And with skating, you know, when you do something, if you're going to do it again, it needs to be better.
Yeah.
It's just the rule.
Yeah.
You know, like it has to be that way. And so it's like, okay, well, this event's happening again. What are we doing this year to make it significantly better than last year? Because otherwise, why are you doing it? You know?
Do you ever you only do them on Wednesdays? You never do them on like a Saturday or anything?
The Wilson Wednesday's strictly Wednesday.
Wednesdays, okay.
It's in the middle of the week for a reason, too. It's just because, like, it's midweek. It's a good break for people out of their week, and it's also a time when people aren't typically super busy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's got plans on the weekends.
It
And
was
so
packed for a Wednesday.
you do. It really gets
It
busy
was really
sometimes.
packed. I was like, oh my God, there are a lot of people.
Yeah,
here.
it's so fun, man. I love Wilson Wednesday. It's just such a treat, you know, like, and it's also great for me too. It gets me out of the warehouse for a day, and it's just nice because it's one of those things. It's classic too, and you probably feel it too with your involvement in music too. Is like, oh, don't get into the skate industry. Don't work in the skate industry because you're not going to skate anymore. You know, it like kills it for you.
Yeah.
And for me, I haven't felt that at all, and I hope I never feel it. And I don't think I will to some degree.
Can I give you some? Well, you might have actually. I want to hear why you feel that first.
Yeah, no, I feel that way because you gotta make an intentional effort to go back to what brought you there. And Wilson Wednesday is a great example of that. It's like I just grab the grill, grab the hot dogs, go out, hang with the homies, go swimming in the lake after. It's just so much fun, you know. And you got to find ways to always incorporate it. You know, you can't lose sight of it just because you happen to turn it into a business. You know, let the business stuff be the business stuff, but you can separate your personal involvement with something that's so special to you elsewhere. And they can be kind of synonymous in that way too, where they can coincide. And I think some sort of fluid state that's natural and reasonable. You know, it doesn't have to be like this thing that you ruin your life over because you're I need all this whatever because of bottom line, or I'm not sure even what that means, but like
we didn't go to business.
You know, like business terms, dude.
I think a lot of people are jaded by something they might be doing, so they'll say to younger people like, "Oh, you don't want to do that because then you'll like never like it again."
Sure.
You don't want to be a chef because then you'll never like food again. I was told at a young age in college by a professor when I was taking a recording class that if we go down this path of recording music for a living and doing production and whatnot, that we won't like music anymore and we'll kind of like be annoyed by it and kind of want to get away from it. And at the time I was in a band. I love music. I just had the second DZ Fest. I had a podcast. I was having monthly shows. I was 23. I was like, there's no way I can like get this. I have this like vision. I'm enjoying this. Like that can't be.
It's not possible.
That can't be for me. So like, what can I start doing now to not let that happen?
Yeah.
And he didn't give any advice as to how to mitigate this.
Sure.
He's just like, you're all screwed.
Because it happened to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a way I can do this. I'm a musician. I'm a producer. I'm an engineer. I'm a podcaster. And then in the middle of all of that Venn diagram, I love music. I just listen to music and enjoy it for like the love of music without analyzing anything. So how do I do it? And what I started to do, and being a event promoter and doing live sound, like every part of audio, I do it in every way. So how in the world can I not let this consume me? And I thought, I need to start now training my mind to hop between these hats and only live in that world for that moment.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And then learn how to hop outside of it when I'm not doing it.
For sure.
So if someone puts on an album, say upstairs in my living room, we put on a vinyl, I could just sit there and listen to it and cry from the lyrics or enjoy the music and the art of it. I also play music and write music. I know music theory. So if someone then goes, Ben, tell me about the music theory of this, then I'll start talking about the chords and the key signature and the pitch it's in and the composition and why they went to that chord instead of that one and what part of music history this probably came from.
Right.
That's one hat. If someone said, analyze this from an engineering perspective. I could start telling you what microphones they used, what
Right.
angle, the distance,
cool.
the
Yeah.
preamps, the mixing techniques, the panning techniques,
Right.
the automation techniques, the equalization techniques, compression ratios. Like you can get way
Yeah,
into
of
it.
course. Yeah.
And then if someone
so
said,
cool.
"Tell me a producer mindset,"
Yeah.
I could start saying they dropped out the guitar here to emphasize, like start talking about more like a producer, like ideas about how you
Sure.
create a song and shape it. And
That's it.
and then I just was like, wait, if I can just train my brain over
Right.
years of doing this, and it took me a while. I think it took me until about 29 or 30. I probably tried to do this for about 6, 7 years. And now it's like I could do it without even
Of
thinking.
course,
I
man.
could just hop between it. But I had to really, really try to be like, don't.
You have to be intentional with
Yeah,
everything you do.
because once I learned
Yeah.
about microphones and recording, I couldn't help but every time I listened to a song, analyze it on a production standpoint. I couldn't
Right.
listen to it as like a work of art anymore,
Right.
and get emotions from the lyrics or get into
Yeah,
the
you're too
guitar.
busy with the
it's too
back
busy being
end.
like, how do they do? Like, and
Yeah.
you can't do that.
No.
So I trained myself, and every day I would spend hours doing each task,
Yeah.
and then like get away from it and not
Yeah.
analyze.
Well,
it that
that's a
way.
great idea.
It just took forever. So you
Yeah.
can do it,
Of course, man.
but you have to, it's the same way. I'm not equating it to it, but it's the same thing as like a medical professional, a doctor.
Yeah.
They're not just, they know everything about this human body and anatomy. It doesn't mean they can't like be a human being and love a human
course,
being
yeah,
and not
right.
be obsessed with what's inside of them.
Yeah. Right.
It just, they got to train themselves.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
That'd be weird. But
Yeah,
they have to
right.
train themselves a lot, and they spend a
fit-
lot of time training themselves.
Totally.
And any practitioner of any kind, any professional or any job you have, you can do that.
Yeah. That's legitimate advice. I like that.
You just
Yeah.
gotta. It takes time. It's not
Yeah.
gonna just. I think everyone is different. It might be easier for some than
Sure.
others, probably depending on their brain and the way they think. But the average person is going to have to put in. I'd say you have to put in at least.
Right.
If you have a lot of things you're doing that involve each other, like you with skateboarding, building the
Yeah, of
skateboards,
course. Yeah, everything
putting
in
on the
between.
events,
Yeah, right.
and then anything in between it, you just got to put a lot of
Yeah.
intention behind it.
Totally.
Make sure you know how to do that and have cutoffs. You know,
Totally.
but like okay.
Feel
I'm,
that.
I'm working on boards until this time, but then I'm gonna go skate and not
Sure.
worry about
Yeah, exactly.
blowers and sales and
Right.
yeah, you
It's also, I think, to some degree, like on the point of intention, it's like, where do you find the value in what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Is it intrinsic enough to where if nothing else existed aside from the fact that you could do the thing that you like, do you still get the same value from it?
Mm-hmm.
As if it's a business that's booming and doing well and there's all sorts of sales and the brand is big and has influence and prominence. It's like, but if you strip it down, remove all of that stuff on the excess, like what do you gain from building skateboards? What do you gain from skateboarding? What do you gain from making music or listening to music? If that value point does not change, where it's equally as valuable to you if I'm making skateboards right now and I live in my shop or whatever and trying to make this thing work and have the lights on versus maybe in the future it's who knows what it can turn into, some big cool business or whatever, and is the value the same? That's how I kind of like, that's how I measure it. Because for me, dude, it's about, it's passion and process. It's about skating. It's about building. It's about taking your time and being patient with these things and just letting the process dictate the passion. It's not like finally the business will be grown when it reaches this many people and I sell this many boards and make my 1 millionth board. You know what I mean? It's like not about that, dude. It's about the process behind it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think if you can find meaning in whatever process you've dedicated yourself to, the intrinsic value that comes from the process itself is endless. It's infinite.
Yeah.
And so like nothing else matters. You know what I'm saying? Really. And so that's where for me the big separation point lies. It's like, yeah, sure, it is a business. There are all these things operationally that have to exist and have to happen. But at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with that type of stuff. It's
Yeah.
about doing it,
what would be your like? What's your vision? What would you like to happen with
Yeah.
your skateboarding company?
I think for me, and people have asked this question quite a bit. It's classic. You get this question a lot.
absolutely.
And I don't have one of those. I don't necessarily have any legitimate answer to
Yeah.
that question. For me, I've always thought, if I could create this skateboard company and Sapient can be something that can sustain itself. It's a sustainable business in that way that it functions and can sustain myself and the future employees and the lives that they're envisioning for themselves or their families. And they could find purpose within the brand, within the business, and actually feel meaning in their work, myself included. Dude, that would be the dream.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and if that reaches that point, if Sapient, it reaches that point at 5 employees, or it reaches it at 2 employees or 10 or 20 or 50, then great, whatever it may be. But yeah, for now, it's like if I could quit my other jobs and this could be something where other people can find meaning in for their work, I'd be so happy with that. I'd be so proud of that, because you know how it goes with work, and man, everybody's got to do it, and it's one of those things that's, you dedicate so much time of your life to working. And so if you could find a job that you find meaning in, and it could tune into one of your passions, and you could find purpose in every day, you get compensated correctly, it allows you to live the life you envision for yourself, dude, that's the end goal, no matter how I get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, I just think that would be the sickest. You know what I mean? I'd be so hyped on that. But for now, just, like, keep chipping away.
It's a lot to do. It takes so much investment.
Right.
Of not just money, but your time and your mentality, your mental capacity to start a business from thin air, especially if you don't have help. If you don't come from, like, a wealthy place where you have seed money. If you're just doing your own thing.
Sure.
It's so hard to explain to someone having done it myself and continuing to do it. I can't express it enough to people. And a lot of people have asked, like, give advice or consulting of ideas, and I never know what to say, because I'm like, this is insane. Like, what I've been doing and trying to do is not easy to do, and almost impossible to explain, because it goes so many avenues.
Yeah, dude, I know.
It's like every day
it.
I'm like, I can't believe what I did. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I look back on some weeks, and it's not really a financial thing. It's not a ton of money. It's never actually been a lot of money. If it was, I wouldn't be living the way I live with a roommate.
Sure.
And, like, having a studio in a basement. But what it is the types of things I'm doing.
Yeah, right.
It just blows my mind. The types of, just even this right now, and this place and that place, and the shows I get to go to, and the friends I get to hang out with. Unreal. Like, some of the best people, what they do in the world at their craft, and I get to talk to them about it.
Dude, you're making a living. You know what I mean? A real living.
It's wild, because I'm like, but I'm grateful every day, and I make myself suffer every day with workouts and going outside and working out outside, no matter what the weather is.
Nice, that's legit.
Because I'm like, I always joke in my room, I'm like, what? I'm gonna complain that I have to sit in my room and edit music all day and get paid for it?
Yeah, right.
Or, like, go record a band in my basement. My commute is 3 seconds. I'm wearing pajama pants. I need to throw on pants real quick.
Yeah, right.
Like, I had to do many other awful jobs to get here, and I also teach at a university, so, like, what I have to go sit in an air conditioning class with high-end equipment with kids who are paying to be here and talk about things I love to nerd out about.
Right, for sure.
Like, this is not hard work. I've done the hard work. This is not it. So I make myself do hard work, because it's so easy to sit in a classroom, to talk to someone, to go do an interview, to meet up with someone and do a conference calls.
Sure.
None of those things are hard. I hate to break it to you people who all have white-collar jobs. Coming from someone who has done some serious blue-collar jobs, and then some serious white-collar ones, blue-collar ones are the hardest every day of the week.
Yeah, sure.
And some get paid well, but most don't. And, I laugh a lot when people have a corporate job, and they're like...
tapping on the laptop.
And they're like, ugh. I'm like, listen... Don't. You cannot, like, you live in America. Sure. You're a citizen. You have insurance and a 401k and a retirement plan. And you have a car, and you don't have debt, and you make, $70,000 a year doing nothing. Like, you don't, like, shut your mouth. Yeah. Like, you have no idea how easy this is. You're not, like, moving dirt and on a roof. Have you ever done a roof? Have you done a roof before?
I've not.
You don't ever want to.
I don't plan on it.
It is the worst job ever.
Yeah, dude, that's a rough one.
Yeah. Yep. And... yeah, all these jobs, the pipe fitter, the water broke, it froze in the winter, all these awful jobs.
Right.
No, we're good.
Yeah,
like, I'm fine.
For sure.
I don't care if it's $30,000 a year. Like, this is so much better than what people have to do. And I remind myself of that every day when I have to do, like, a call or a Zoom or this or that, or all these emails. I'm like, oh, God, emails. Yeah. And I'm sitting there on my couch wearing, like, pajama pants with the sun coming in there, listening to records.
A day.
At 10 a.m., having to put stuff on Instagram and respond to emails. I'm like, oh, this is so easy.
Yeah, of course, very chilling, no doubt. I feel it.
So I'm like, I gotta go walk. For 2 hours. I walk and go to the park and work out for 2 hours every day.
Sick.
You got to.
What type of workouts do you do?
So I start off here and I walk down to Palmisano Park, over on Halsted and 29th Street.
Okay.
do 3 laps there and walk back, but that's just over 5 miles, that whole thing.
Sure.
But within that, before I leave, I do a set of push-ups. Usually I do 120 a day, so I'll do like 30, 30, 30,
Gotcha.
30. Do that, and then I walk there, and they have bars.
Cool.
So every revolution around the park, I do 10 pull-ups, 10 dips, 10 squats, 10 push-ups. And I go around the park, but the park also has hills and stairs.
Sure.
So I'll run up and down those, run up the hill backwards.
Yeah.
Do all that. So it's like cardio, really solid walk workout, and then a bunch of body weight stuff.
Legit.
It's great. It takes
Hell
like
yeah.
2 hours, but I've been getting a lot of respect at the park lately. It's a bunch of old people, because everyone's at work.
Oh,
except for the retirees.
Yeah, right.
So it's me and a bunch of old people. And this guy today, when I was at the park this morning, he's like this big biker dude. He looked like Santa Claus, big white beard, and he walks past me in the park, and he's like, "Man, you look like if Fidel Castro and Jerry Garcia had a baby." And it reminded me of Pineapple Express when
That's an amazing one.
when what's his name? When James Franco was talking to Seth Rogen about the weeds that meet and they have a baby and they create Pineapple Express.
I see.
Yeah, I don't know. Just reminded. He said it like a stoner. He's just like, "You're like if
You do
Fidel
look like
Castro
Jerry Garcia."
and Jerry Garcia came together and
That's
had a baby."
wild.
And I was like, I don't mind the Jerry Garcia one, but
Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro, I don't know how I feel about that
That's
one.
funny, man. Holy
Man,
shit.
he's got some good cigars.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just that. And there's, there's a lot of like older women there that are always just like waving and just like, "You're out here every day. Like, good for you." And like,
That's so sick.
keep doing it, It's funny. I really like it. I started doing it through the pandemic. It's March 2020, and I had a choice. I was like, I could stay in and like smoke and drink like everyone else is around me. And I had some roommates, and that's all everyone was doing. It's like, or I can like,
Maybe do
they
something.
say this is like a thing that if you have a good immune system, you'll be okay. So I was like, maybe I'll just like get really healthy and just like work out
For sure.
and eat and like just start fasting all. And I just started doing all of it, and I never stopped since. And it's all
awesome.
worked.
That's
It's
awesome.
all worked. Every time I've been sick since, even when I had COVID, it was like nothing. I was like, okay, I think you should be. I
Dude,
think
that's
people
awesome.
should be healthy.
Good for you. Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, you're quite fit yourself.
I try, dude, but I don't like. I go to the gym every single day, but
The way you said,
But listen-
you said it as if you don't do anything.
I don't. I go to the gym.
I go every day, but
I go every day to shower. That's where I shower.
nice.
So I pop in. I'm in for 10 minutes. I go in covered in
Let me
sawdust.
guess.
I leave in
Planet
my
Fitness.
24 hour or the export fitness.
Okay,
24
okay.
hours.
Yeah.
So it's sick though because it's $9.95 a month, and they got the sauna, steam room,
Yeah.
hot tub. They got everything, dude.
Yeah.
And I've been going there every day for 3 years. I've worked out once in there but I used to maybe 6-7 years ago, I would work out.
Yeah.
But now between working in the shop all day, which is manual, and
Yeah.
then at the other job at the restaurant, you're running around all day, you're carrying stuff. I don't really, I try and stretch if I'm like trying to get something going because I could really use that with skating.
Yeah.
But I just don't have the physical energy for actually working out.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
But yeah, maybe
hard to
I would
do
love
it.
to get back into like just like trying to do push-ups or something would
just
be
do push-ups.
legit.
Just do the shop. That's easy.
You know what I mean? I know.
started at
It's
like
so easy.
40, and I
Yeah.
worked up to 120. And
For
my
sure.
goal is to get up to 200. Just you add like
Little bit
2
every day.
or 5
Yep.
every week or every month.
For sure.
Just add 5 every month.
Right.
Because it's a long game. You don't have to rush it.
Right.
Like, if it takes 5 years to get to, who cares? Just
Who cares? Yeah.
Take your sweet time.
That's what I'm
It
trying
makes
to
a
do.
Big difference.
That's what I'm trying to do
Push-ups.
with the stretching. I really need to get after it. Like my hamstrings are decent. My hips, man, holy shit. Like my hips and hip flexors, like I could walk straight and that's like it. Like I
Is it
can't
from
like,
skateboarding?
I think, I don't know, man. They're just so tight. Like my hip flexors are so tight. Like I can't even lay in bed all the way extended without feeling like right here,
Oh my god.
that it's like gonna
Wait,
cramp.
is it from leaning over and pushing down on like boards and
I don't
stuff?
even know what it is, but
You should get that checked out.
I need to just stretch,
Because you're
dude.
28. That should
I know,
not.
it's not
you
ideal.
look quite lean. There's no reason you
There's
should
no
have.
reason for that.
Have you had like injuries around those parts?
I mean, I've fallen a million times, but I haven't had any notable ones of like, I don't know.
I
like-
have two. Long-term things that I don't think humans have thought about enough yet because they haven't been popular enough long enough for us to have enough data and ramifications of what it does to our body.
I'm interested already.
The first one is tattoos.
Oh, okay.
Because it's such a new thing.
Sure.
As far as like everyday people getting them,
Sure.
prisoners and sailors.
Yep.
and tribal individuals, Native Americans have been doing it for a while, but not
Right.
everyday people. So we don't know exactly how they're always going to look on us after 50, 60, 70 years. Like when
Right.
you're 90, when
For
you got
sure.
tattoos at 18.
Yeah, right.
Probably going to look awful, right? I mean, I don't care.
Sure.
I'm not telling people not to do it. I don't think the cat's out of the bag yet.
Sure.
The second one is skateboarding.
Yeah.
Skateboarding is such a new thing, and at the level that millions of people do it now, like it's
Right.
been around since the 70s, at least in its more modern form, maybe 80s. But not everyone was doing it. There's a
Right.
small amount of people doing it.
Sure.
Now there's got to be millions of skateboarders.
Sure, there's way
worldwide.
more people in it. Yeah.
And obviously people get weeded out over time, but there's still probably millions that do it for like 30
Yeah.
years,
Mhm.
40 years. So like what does the average
Dude,
skateboarder body look
if
like
I
when
could
they're
walk-
75?
Yeah. I'd be like stunned if I'm walking by then.
Ah, you're breaking my
if
heart.
I make it, you know what I mean? Like, that would be, dude, who knows? Like, it's true. Like, it's a lot of
That's
abuse. You
it's
know what
so
I mean?
much
And so,
abuse.
like, when you wake up at 28 and it takes a little bit to get moving, think about how that little bit's going to change
At
when you're
68.
48 and
Yeah.
at 68, dude.
Yeah.
And at 88. No chance you're
Absolutely.
moving.
Absolutely. It's the same.
Maybe, though.
No. Well, stem
Time-
cells, maybe stem cells.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
We'll see, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
just the same problem that basketball players have with their knees.
Mm-hmm.
Skaters are going to have their knees and ankles because you're landing on hard surfaces.
Yeah, right.
Either you're landing on a hard board with very little absorption of shock,
Yeah.
or you're landing on hard concrete or hard wood or hard black. It's all hard.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
A lot of it's concrete, which is the hardest of all of them.
Right.
And you're landing on it at different heights. Sometimes it's 6 inches, sometimes it's 6 feet.
Yeah, right.
All the time.
Yeah.
And you're landing on it when you're falling on your shoulder or
For
hitting
sure.
your arm.
Yeah, it's not.
And I'm
I
not
can
saying
imagine.
don't do it
Yeah.
because I love watching it.
Yeah, for sure.
Great
We're still
entertainment.
gonna do it. Yeah, no doubt.
But I have so many friends that skate.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, I hope you're okay. Like
Yeah.
when we're old men and then we want to go
Yeah, we're
like
gonna see
we want to
you,
go
man.
hang out on a ranch and you're
Yeah.
just useless.
Yeah.
And I gotta push you around in a hover around or something.
yeah, dude. Like, yeah, I'm definitely no doctor, but I can imagine that it's not gonna be great. You know
There's
what I mean?
no way.
Yeah, there's just no way. Yeah,
I mean, what skateboarders have
Because-
done it for 20 years and haven't needed
Dude.
like help?
but also think about like what you're
surgery.
saying. That's a good point about basketball players.
Oh yeah.
But basketball players have the highest end care and physical therapy every single day,
And they still have bad problems.
and they still got problems.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about skateboarders who are like have none of that,
Yeah.
don't care about any of it,
Yeah.
don't do any stretching, don't do anything,
Yeah.
and still do it for 30 years.
and
And
they're
so
probably haggard.
what's that going to be? You know, because it's true. It's like, it's one thing if you're getting stretched out every day and 20 years later you still can't walk. You
Yeah.
know? And you get all the little like shots and cooling gels or whatever they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean,
Do a lot of skateboarders because of all the pain? Is there an issue with like alcoholism or drugs? Is that common because of numbing the pain? Always getting banged
I
up?
would imagine. Yeah. Like, well, I mean, it is. Yeah.
Right.
It is. I don't know. I can't say for certain,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
what the reason is for the use. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's like a little bit more complex and depends on the
Absolutely.
individual. But yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely times where, a few beers are going to make you feel a whole lot better.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
yeah. I mean,
it
and
is a
that,
physically demanding activity. It is brutal.
right.
You know,
Right.
I also learned at a young age from my mom and my parents, like, because I was a very extreme kid. I told you about the longboard, the skating. I also grew up water skiing, wakeboarding, snowboarding,
Sure.
snow skiing, all of that. And I got hurt all the time, and my mom was just like, you need to like chill because one day you're young now, and you're young, and I was very fit, young, 16-year-old, very fit. And she was like, one day you're going to be 60 and
Yep.
you won't be able to bounce back from these things. And all of the stuff you did is accumulating.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel it then. And she's had, a lot of people in my family have had issues with because they did physical stuff their whole life. So now
Right.
they all have all these problems.
Sure.
And I see it now and I'm like, I'm so glad I got out of that wild game at like 22,
Right.
23. And I survived it because I still like that broken wrist from that longboard. I still
Yeah.
feel it to this day.
Totally.
It's not normal.
Totally.
And my tailbone still will, if I sit too long on hard stuff, it starts to hurt.
Sure.
That was 13 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm
no
still
doubt.
dealing
man.
with
Of course,
it.
you're gonna for sure.
It's like, I can't.
Yeah.
I like being mobile and
Sure.
being able to do stuff. So now I do a lot of physical stuff, but it's all very much in a controlled way.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's like, it's really hard to get hurt doing a pull-up.
right.
It's like I'm in control of every motion. There's
Sure.
no outside force.
Right. Right.
And a squat. Like these are very as long as you have good form, it's so hard to get hurt.
Yeah.
And that's why I walk. I don't really run because everyone I know that runs at
for
some
sure,
point
dude,
in
runs.
their life, they'll vouch forever running is the best. It's
Yeah.
like, listen, at some point in your life, you will get hurt.
Yeah.
And they all do.
Yep.
They all, something, rolled ankle.
Sure, a lot of impact too. No matter how nice a
it's
shoes
like
you got.
I think it's like 2.5 times. It's like 2.5 times your body mass when you land, whereas walking is 1.2.
Nice.
It's just, 20% more.
Yeah.
So I just walk. And every elderly individual I've met that looks really fit, 80s, 90s, I just say, what do you do? And they 100% of them say, I just walk every day.
For
like,
sure.
okay, I'm just going to.
Yeah, you got to just stay mobile.
Yeah, you just got to move.
And that's what's kind of
Just move.
That's what's interesting though too about the skating thing. You're mobile all the time, and so like, could this weird Venn diagram between like being mobile and completely fucking your shit up all the time create some sort of like nice thing over time? Maybe.
What I think it'll create is a thin person with bad joints and bones. Like yourself. I think that's what happens. Like fit but broken.
Yeah. And then it's just more progressively more broken.
That's because that's why I say a lot of skateboarders are quite fit.
Yeah.
But like they're banged up fit.
For sure.
They're just they're fit, but like their joints are not.
Yeah, but
good.
they're not in good shape.
No.
You know what I mean?
They're just slim.
Exactly.
But they're not like their joints and muscles.
For sure.
And
Yeah,
knees.
That's true. That's totally true.
Ankles shot. I think every skateboarder's just got shot ankles. I mean, how many times have you rolled your ankle in your life?
I don't know, a lot. Yeah. A lot.
It's not good.
I hate rolling ankles.
Oh,
It
it's
sucks,
the worst.
Dude. Yeah. It sucks.
And it just, I don't do it anymore. I did it all the time playing basketball. I played sports a lot. And I won't play basketball anymore because I hurt my knees and ankles so many times. They're just useless now. I mean, they're good. I just can't do that stuff.
Yeah,
the second I land funny, I'm screwed. Like once you've torn or slightly torn your ligaments that much, they're not good anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta be wise.
Yes.
Did you play sports growing up at all?
Just hockey mainly.
Oh,
Yeah, I
nice.
played sports like other sports when I was younger, but the main sport I played for the majority of my life was hockey. Played golf
through
in
high
in
school, or like a league outside of high school for hockey.
Yeah, played like all growing up from like 5th grade on, played through high school, and then played like the club team for where I went to school for college, but it was basically just like a beer league, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's still super fun. Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Glenbard West, right in Glen Ellen.
Is the Glen Ellen near O'Hare?
Not really. It's like further west.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of near O'Hare-ish, but not really. Like O'Hare, I would say is like closest to. That's like.
Are you by 88 or 290 or?
It's off 290. Yeah. So like
by Elmhurst, right?
Yeah, by Elmhurst, but still further west. So you're gonna go Elmhurst, like Villa Park, Lombard, Glen Ellen. Yeah.
Got it.
And then you get into Wheaton, and then you keep going all the way down to West Chicago and stuff,
Yeah.
So if you were like taking the train from Ogilvy, you take like the Union West line all the way
by
directly
Warrenville?
west. Not really either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever been. I've heard the name.
Yeah.
Because where I grew up, it's just further away for the south.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of confusing. I don't know anything about the south. I grew up in the western suburbs. Don't know anything about any other suburb. If you ask me anything about the south or even further northwest suburbs or anything, I don't know anything about it.
I know a good. I mean, I've driven all over the place, these places, but I just don't think I've ever made it to Glen Ellen. I think I've been around it a lot, Elmhurst and Warrenville.
Yeah.
And I go up to Barrington a lot for
Nice.
work for a client, and but there, I don't know. Growing up, there's always like an othering of the suburbs because every suburb has its like hierarchy of economics, socioeconomics. So if you grow up, like anytime, I can't help but do it still to this day, even though it's usually right. When someone's like, I grew up in a North Shore suburb or something, I'm always like, oh, it must have been real hard.
Yeah.
Must have been
North
real
Shore's-
tough up there in the North
right.
Shore suburbs,
Right. It's nice up there, man.
Oh
Holy
my
shit. Yeah.
God, it is.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in Lake Forest as of lately.
Yeah, Lake Forest is beautiful. They got crazy houses up there.
Stupid.
Man.
It is unfair that this planet has those houses. And then a mile south of me is like Englewood. And it's one of the worst neighborhoods in the country.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, right.
It's dark.
Right.
It's very dark to have that juxtaposition, to like live within it, be around it, and then go to like literally billionaires' homes.
Sure.
It's outrageous. I mean, I've never seen such a nice town in my life. It's like every shop is a mom and pop shop because they could afford to be, because people could afford to buy stuff from there. Every car is German or Tesla.
Yeah.
All of them. I remember one time I was walking and I saw 9 Mercedes Benz in a row. And this is not a car dealership.
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah,
I
right.
was just like, this is like...
It's a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's banks everywhere. Everyone's happy.
Right.
Everyone's got their Lululemon pants on. It's just
Well,
great.
looking happy at least.
Yeah, looking at everyone looks like healthy and good. Like
Yeah.
everyone's fit.
Yeah.
Everyone looks good. Like, oh,
They got
so
time
this
for
is what good
classes or
diet and
whatever.
nutrition does to you. And,
Yeah, right.
You know, not having to work and go.
Wait, so do you go up there for work and stuff or what?
My girlfriend was going to school up there.
I see.
For
Cool.
a while, so
Yeah.
I went up there before.
Yeah, cool.
A lot, yeah.
Nice.
It's bizarre. I enjoyed it for the spectacle that it is.
Yeah.
To
No,
hang
we've been
out.
up there. My mom's cousin. So it's like some familial connection there.
Yeah.
Lives up there.
Oh wow.
Dope crib, dude.
I bet.
It's so nice, man.
What'd they do for a living?
I think her husband was banker or something.
Oh, who'da
yeah,
thought?
Yeah, like some banker, but like, dude, yeah, the houses are huge. We go
Oh,
there.
yeah.
We used to go there once a year. We get together for my great aunt's birthday and stuff up there. Haven't been there in a couple years since she had passed too, but yeah, the house is insane. And I just remember driving through the neighborhoods, just beautiful. And same thing, dude. Like
Outrageous.
Glen Ellen's beautiful town, small little town, little township. Like with a little cute movie theater,
Yeah,
and all sorts
that's
of
cool.
stuff too. Some old houses and things.
That's how
too,
a lot of
and-
the
yeah.
further suburbs are.
For sure.
They all have
It's
like
cool.
this small downtown.
That's what was sick growing up there is that it has this downtown. So like it's got its own unique feel where like you could operate as a little kid around the downtown area via skateboard or bike or foot. And like you could be out and about all day, but it's small enough to where like, yeah, you just had that freedom to roam, which was so cool because it's like this unique town. I don't know. It was fun. I liked growing up there. It was sick.
And then after you grew up there, when did you get the job working for the skate company?
Oh, dude, I was like working. I started riding for them when I was 13. And so, like,
Oh, okay.
I was working for them in theory in that capacity for a long time. And then when I graduated from college, well, in high school, I was doing some customer service stuff for them because they had one of those online chats where people are like, hey, I'm thinking about getting this board. Is this the right size? You know? And then when I graduated from college, they had a position opening up at their spot in Jersey to manage the distribution center and like help with manage the board builders for the orders coming in and just manage the warehouse, you know.
What college you go to?
It's Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington.
That's where my roommate's from. He's gonna love that you.
No shit, I love Spokane, man. I miss
he-
that place so much.
He's obsessed. I mean, well, obviously not. He's lived here for 11 years, but he's from Spokane, and every time people say like they say it wrong, like,
Yeah.
what, Gonzaga,
Gonzaga, yeah, right.
instead of Gonzaga,
Yeah, right.
he just gets all bent out.
For
of shape.
sure, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I feel it. Yeah,
It's funny. I don't meet anyone that's spent any
Yeah.
time in Spokane, but apparently you have.
for sure. Yeah, there was one other kid from the school at the time who was from Chicago when I was there, and it's not very big either. I mean, at the time it was I think 5,000 undergrad, so like small, mid-sized school.
That's pretty small.
More small.
Yeah.
And now it's since grown a little bit more, and people know it because of their success
Basketball.
with basketball and
Were you
things.
there when the basketball team was good at all?
Dude, I was there actually for the first time they ever made the Final Four and first time they made the national championship.
That must have been nuts.
It was crazy. They lost the national championship, but yeah, it was crazy. Like, you know, couches on fire, and the whole city was shut down. You know,
Your
because
classic
everybody,
couch on fire.
everybody was been waiting for that moment, dude. Spokane's such a small city,
Yeah.
and so like that was, yeah, we got lucky with timing there. That was a lot of fun.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Spokane.
Oh yeah,
Known for nothing but Gonzaga.
yeah, basically, basically.
No, they have this
Like-
great candy that his mom gave me it for Christmas. It's like this brittle butter almond
Huh?
type. It's like famous there. Like it's the only thing they got going on. No, I'm
Really?
kidding.
Shit, I don't even
They
know
got
what
other
that
things
is.
going on.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody from the Midwest, the only reason you know it is because of Gonzaga, for
Yeah.
sure. And even when I was going there, I'd tell people, oh, I went to Gonzaga. What the hell is Gonzaga? Nobody knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of random, but I loved it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it because of the school. I knew about it because of him being
I see.
from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you finished there, come back, got the job, went to New Jersey.
Yep. And then was there for like 9 months or something. And then they were trying to up and move the operation to the Northwest because they're like kind of a last ditch effort to like give it a little bit of a spark. It was
Yeah.
kind of on its way out. And that's the main project I took on was that move from New Jersey there. So basically loaded everything up into like intermodal crate containers, shipped the whole thing across the states, drove basically to meet the crates at the other side, got there, unloaded them, reset up the shop, was there for same thing, I think about 8 months in Oregon that time, which was sick. Really liked living there. And then that's when we kind of came to a close with the business is still in business right now, but they were trying to make some other moves like trying to pass the business on. And so we had some talks about me potentially trying to acquire it because they wanted to pass it on to somebody who understood it and knew it and was doing the day-to-day. And I'd been with them for 10 years. You know, I was 24 at the time, and my first interaction was when I was 13, you know? So I knew it kind of inside and out, but it just didn't come to fruition. It wasn't the right thing. And that's when I was also thinking, you know, I think I kind of just want to start my own anyway and stuff too. And so it just kind of came to that. And so then I ended up stepping down from my spot there and then moved home and started Sapient. And
where does that name come from?
That's what we're doing. The Sapient name, the Sapient name, it actually, so it took quite some time to come up with it because I had this concept and idea of like the philosophy behind the brand and what I kind of wanted it to stand for and mean, but I couldn't really find a name that I felt like encapsulated what I was trying to portray. But yeah, Sapient is in reference to the human species. It's like Homo sapiens.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I just didn't know.
For sure. And at the same time, too, its kind of Latin root is intelligent, wise, able to think, which is kind of a funny little point, too, in regards to humanhood in the sense of, like, what should we name ourselves? You know what I mean? Like, intelligent, wise, you know, like all this stuff. But it's
able
like,
to think.
Exactly. But I really liked it because for me, we mentioned it briefly today, too, this kind of like interdependency of the community and the individual with skateboarding and in life, you know, like especially with skateboarding, the community is so unique because it's built on these contributions from all these individuals, from these unique people who bring their own piece to it. And the fact that people are open to their unique piece that they're going to bring in is what makes a community so beautiful. And so I really liked that name because sapient in reference to the human species really speaks to the commonality that everybody shares, but that intelligence, kind of able to think, speaks to the individual. And how those things coincide is when you allow them to in a way that's natural and reasonable and correct. It's nothing short of something that's beautiful. You know what I mean? It's an amazing thing. And so that was one of the main reasons behind the name. I also, for some reason, the word sapient, like, it just makes me think of early prehistory, you know what I mean? In that type of way, I've always been fascinated with like early human history and things like that too. And that's why a lot of the stuff with the logoing is a little bit more rocky, like these organic types of pieces. And that's more so, again, from a connection standpoint of, and that's why I'm fascinated with you living in the cabin and stuff. Like, that simple, can you strip this down? I mean, nowadays things have gotten so complex in so many ways, from how we live to how we communicate to how we work to all this stuff. Like, can you remove all of it and kind of like go back to a more primitive setting in a way where you could just appreciate what life is at its most basic level? You have yourself and your individuality, you have your community and the people you love, and you have the world around you, and you experience it in a raw, kind of unaltered state, you know? And so there's a whole lot to it behind the brand, and I've got like, man, before I even came up with the name, I probably have 35 or 45 pages written. It's like some sort of
different names?
No, like of a brand manifesto of some degree. And so, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I love the name. I love the word so much. I think it's just like, one, it's unique and people don't necessarily know what it means, but to me, it's got so much meaning behind it, and it's the driving force for everything we do as a brand. You know,
I love it. And you've been doing it for 5 years?
Oh, shit. Now it's been, since, well, basically, like I said, first board was end of 2019. We technically, I organized as a business in 2020. So it's been 3.5. Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome. And it's just you doing it? You have anybody with you?
Right now, it's me at the moment in the shop, like day to day, but I've had help in a variety of different settings over time from different people. My friend Thaddeus helped a ton in the beginning too. He did all the art for the initial graphics all by hand and stuff, and helped with a lot of the design. He designed the logo and stuff too, the main logo type there.
That's cool.
And helped with other things too day to day, but mainly in the design related areas. And then working now with other friends who are more focused in the screen printing. My friends Tortoise and Paige, they do screen printing through like Tortoise and the Fox Studios is something that they do themselves. They do stuff for like band posters and other things as well. But super talented artists and screen printers and designers. So I've been doing some stuff with them with graphics. And then, of course, all the homies help in different ways. My friend Chris has helped build so much stuff in the shop or for events and things. So, you know, I mean, there's been people who have really lent a hand in a lot of different ways over time. But I mean, day to day, it's just me in the shop handling all the ins and outs of the operation, but no, of course, there's been help in a lot of capacities.
Yeah. And the shop is located in
The shop's in Bellwood.
Bellwood.
Yeah, and so it's like actually right off 25th Avenue. So it's like right on the border of Bellwood, Maywood. People are more familiar with Maywood.
Yeah.
Bellwood's like kind of this like weird forgotten area in between.
My brother lives in Forest Park. So
right there too. Yeah.
Right
And so
off 290
right off
and
290.
Harlem.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So you're just outside like the city limit.
Exactly. Yeah. It's Cook County, but
Yeah.
it is just outside. You could take the blue line to Forest Park, and then you'd have to like ride your bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's right off 290. It's super easy to get in and out the city. My other job's in the West Loop, and so like it's just perfect. You're back and forth. You know.
What? That's you said a restaurant?
Yeah, restaurant. It's called Texan Taco Bar. It's like a country Tex-Mex rooftop bar. It's kind of
good.
crazy. Yeah.
It's good. Is it good?
It's good money. Yeah, that's why I work
Is
there.
it good food?
Not really. Like it's more drinking food, like margaritas.
Is it like white Tex-Mex?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
I know
That's
exactly-
exactly what it is. But you know,
exactly
dude,
what
if you're
you mean.
like going up there, you're trying to like watch a game, have a bucket of beer, some margaritas, get some nachos or something. Not a bad option. But no, it's not like a place like I'm trying to go get some Tex-Mex. I'm going to go to Texan
I'm
Taco.
trying to get
Yeah.
some. Yeah, I'll go to Pilsen
For sure. Yeah,
some
you know,
Mexican
I mean,
cuisine.
for sure. But if you want Tex-Mex, the menu is like a legitimate Tex-Mex menu.
Got it.
But yeah, no, it's more so it's a huge party spot, and I kind of start later in the day there, and I work into the night, and so it just works in my schedule in the shop.
Yeah.
Work in the shop all day, and then I could have a proper second shift.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I'll have to come check it out sometime.
dude, it's a zoo up there, man.
I love being in places I shouldn't be. It's like one of my favorite.
This is the place, dude.
my
I'm
favorite
telling
thing
you,
to
I
do.
feel so out of
Because
place
I always
there.
stick out. Because I'll wear like this cardigan, which gets a lot of eyes.
Sure,
And
that's
then
a beauty.
People, yeah, and then people started asking me a ton of questions.
Yep.
And because apparently the beard, I don't know, things just
Sure.
stick out.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't explain it.
You would stick out at Texan Taco Bar.
I stick
it's
out-
like proper West Loop. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It like
Oh, yeah.
draws that crowd.
Tech and finance meets lame.
I guess kind of. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
No, I love my tech and finance
No,
people,
yeah, they're
but I
good
just
people out there,
also
too,
cannot
yeah.
help but give them crap.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
It's
I feel
fun.
you.
I mean, it's fun. They know. That's what they
Yeah,
get
right.
paid all that money for, so we
Exactly.
can rag on them.
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly.
Come on. They're rigging the system. Let's give
Yeah,
them
right.
crap.
Yeah, right.
You know, man. But yeah, that's an interesting. West Loop is where at in West Loop? Like what street?
It's Randolph and Morgan. So like where
right
La
by
Colombe
Al
is.
Cheval. You're 2 blocks.
Yeah.
I was at that. I was at the La Colombe, right by the Voodoo Donut.
Exactly. Texan's directly across the street. From
I
Voodoo.
was just there on Thursday.
But there's no branding on the awnings.
I was looking at that.
it's
and
all
I was
black.
Like, I was
Yeah.
like, what is this place? I
Yeah.
just looked at it
No
on
way.
Thursday.
Yeah, dude.
Because it was my birthday and I went to Al Cheval.
Love it.
for
Happy
my
belated.
birthday. Thank you. Love that burger place.
Dude, it's
ridiculous.
banger, yeah.
Oh. And then whenever I go there, I'll walk from here. It's
Yeah.
about 4 miles.
Yeah,
Me and my walking. So
Sure.
to justify unhealthy food, I usually walk very
for sure.
far.
And then you
to
walk
it.
it off. Yeah, beautiful.
And that's why I always walk past Loomis to
I
see
see.
the skate place
Right.
under the Irish Brinks.
Irish Banks.
Irish Banks.
Yeah, because
The old Irish was
banks,
killed.
the banks comes from there's those big banks under the bridge, literal
Ah.
banks, that you can skate down. But again,
I like it better
I
than
like
there
it.
is an Irish man with
Yeah.
his last name Banks,
Banks,
who
I
was
got it.
murdered and buried in the concrete.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to
way
tell people.
better.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And you can add some validity to it by dropping real like mob names.
For sure.
Like, yeah, he was O'Banion's right hand man.
Yeah, right.
Before he was murdered in 1924
Right.
at the flower shop.
Yeah, right.
Over up
at the flower shop.
You know, up in Lincoln Park.
For sure.
And they're just like, really? Like, yeah, look it up.
Look, yeah, right. For
know,
sure, there's some
so-
book on it somewhere. Yeah, right.
All right, I'll have to go to that spot because
Yeah.
when I walked, I'll either go to Al Cheval, Green Street Meats, or
Nice.
Hi-Fi, the ramen place.
Yeah,
or Hi-Fi.
all great spots right
Love
there,
that
man.
spot. Yeah.
Dude, it's like if you go, I'm telling you, if you go during the week, it's dead. But
Yeah.
on the weekends, if you pop in there in the evening and later, you cannot move on the roof. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like one of those spots. It's Taylor Swift's playing. People are stoked. Margaritas.
She's
in
not
it.
really there.
No, that would be crazy. Yeah. And I'm like going through the crowd. Like,
T Swift's
"Yo."
hanging out.
Yeah, she's up there.
Drake's here.
VIP shit.
Kanye.
Yeah.
Kanye came. Yep, Kanye came
Yeah,
home.
no, it's not like that. Yeah. But,
I mostly like going to that area. They have some good restaurants. They got a lot of corny going on. They sell a lot of corn there. It's corn. It's corny. Like
who's corny?
The area.
Oh, for
Like-
sure. Yeah, no doubt.
Like they
Yeah.
took one of the worst neighborhoods in Chicago
Yep.
and turned it into tech and finance
Yes.
land with Google and Salesforce
Yep.
and
Yep.
concrete and steel and
Yep.
Everyone looks
Open design spaces.
Everyone looks like, like they were manufactured in a factory. Everyone's 6 foot and gorgeous.
Yeah,
You're like
West Loop Protos.
men and women, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not being specific.
Right.
You're just like, what genes create all these people?
Yeah.
What is it about money that creates really attractive people?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying attractive in the sense of like I like the way they dress. They're just like
Sure.
they're very fit and healthy and clean and clearly very clean.
Don't shower at a gym.
You and I have been around a lot of people who do not shower all the
For
time
sure. Yep.
and don't wear new clothes.
Sure.
And
I feel like maybe I'm one of those people.
listen,
Like I like to think I could be like, yeah, I'm around them all the time, and then I'm like, wait, fuck, that's me. Yeah.
So your place doesn't have a shower? That's why you go?
No
So
shower.
it's a legit just warehouse.
Oh, dude, people are like, oh man, you living in like open loft. I'm like, dude, I live in a full manufacturing plant.
Like, and it's a shared space.
Wait, who else is there?
Well, like a bunch of other businesses.
Oh,
But like I'm
my God.
behind. I'm behind like an actual. Everything's separated by chain link. You know what I mean? Chain link fence. That's how they separate the spaces. It's all middlemen. It's all pallet storage and things
Not
like that.
actual walls?
No,
So you live in the same...
no. But luckily, my spot's separated by wall, by cinder block wall.
Say you just have a
So,
fence
which is
separating.
clutch. No, but dude, yeah, it's like full. I mean, I sleep on my desk because I live under there under wraps, and then like my kitchenette
Wait, you
slides.
sleep on your desk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a U-shaped. It's a U-shaped desk. One side of the L that forms the U is a standing desk, and then that other second L is all the same height. And I got my computers here, standing desk, and then this desk that comes out here, I use during the day, but I lay on that at night and sleep on
Why
that.
do you do that? Why don't you just sleep on a bed?
Well, because I can't live there.
Well, how would they know?
Oh, dude. Well,
Someone checks?
oh yeah, man. The inspectors come through, and the landlords are there, and all sorts of stuff.
Oh,
And
so
I-
you're like a business working there.
Oh yeah, I'm a business worker.
No, like
Yeah.
you're like
I'm
always,
working.
you're just always
I'm
why,
always
why
working,
don't you just
But it doesn't matter.
why aren't you
because
just always working there?
I am.
Like at night, like when
Exactly.
you're sleeping, I'm just working.
It's no big deal, and that's why it really is no big deal. But I'm not trying to cross that bridge because I can't risk it. If the inspector's having a bad day or the landlord is like, who knows?
Yeah.
I have no other options, and so everything stays under wraps. All my stuff's hidden. All my clothes are like chilling in different places.
What about
And-
like a cot you could just fold away?
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. I have a secret compartment that stores this foam pad that
the way you
comes
said
out.
that.
Yeah, dude.
You're like, should I
dude, I'm
say
telling
this?
yeah, I'm telling you. When you come to the shop, I'll show you. It's like I have it's legit in there.
I love
Like,
it.
Yeah, so
I
it's
love
good.
doing everything under wraps.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's most of my life.
Yep.
That's this place.
Yeah,
I
for
didn't
sure.
ask.
Exactly.
I didn't ask my landlord if I could do this.
Oh, dude, for sure. Same thing. We built that big ramp in there. Landlord came in one day. He looks. He's like, nice. And he's like, we should call Tony Hawk. And I'm like, maybe we should.
Do you know him? Because I would love
Yeah,
to meet
right.
him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny. So yeah, I
Have
mean,
you come across professional skateboarders?
Yeah, over time, people come through town and all that type of stuff. There's a few who live here,
Yeah.
So, yeah, here and there.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's fun to see in person, man. It's a whole different thing when there's good skaters around everywhere, but when you see like kind of cream of the crop professional doing their thing on a skateboard, it's really fucking crazy.
Right.
Like-
I mean, when you see someone do anything that all their sole job is and they
Yeah.
get paid to do it is to do that thing,
Yeah, dude.
you get exponentially better at the craft. That's why I also have, I'm not sure how to say it. I don't always give a lot of credit to people who do a extracurricular thing, an elective sport or
Sure.
game for a living, because psychologically, like, they better be the best at it because that's all they have to do.
Yeah, sure.
In fact, they get so much better than you
Yeah.
and I ever could be because we got other stuff to do.
Sure.
They just do it every day. So I'm not that impressed
Sure.
because
You're doing it
that's
every day.
all they get
Of
to
course
do.
you would be better
Like
at
if
it.
my job was just to record music like nothing else,
Yep.
I'd get better and I'd have better gear. Like
Yeah, of course.
it's just what you do. So it's cool that they do. I mean, I respect it. I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't give a lot of people will praise celebrities, people they don't know.
Sure.
I just don't do that
I
because it's
don't
like,
get that.
first of all, it's just a person.
Yeah, right.
End of the day, they're gonna die just like you and I.
Right.
Second, that's all they have to do. They better be amazing at it. Still not fully impressed because if they had to
Sure.
do that and be that good while working at the factory, while
Yeah,
raising
sure.
the kid and driving kids, the car
Sure,
broke down,
sports and stuff. Yeah, I feel
then
you.
that's impressive. So when I
sure.
meet people who have to do a lot and
Yeah.
they still are good at something, I'm like, that's way
That's
more
cool. Yeah,
impressive
I like
than,
that. Yeah, I feel you.
than Taylor Swift
Sure.
or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. And that's me though, but I'm
No, I
I'm a
get
little-
that point.
I'm a little strict about it.
I get that point.
Got high standards.
Yeah,
You
right.
got to suffer out here, people.
That's right. Little adversity. That's right.
Oh man, what time is it?
What time is it actually?
Oh, you've been talking. It's 10:37.
Very nice.
It's been 2 hours.
Damn.
You want to end soon? And we can
That-
always
Yeah, yeah.
do
that
another one whenever.
For sure. That sounds
anytime.
good to me. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, man. Yeah.
Will got here late. He was here late.
Busy working.
He was too busy sleeping on the job.
Yeah, as I was sleeping.
No, we had skateboard lessons today.
So you do lessons?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
just,
fun.
Just how do people find out? Like they just reach out to you?
Yeah,
Hey, I want
pretty.
some lessons?
Right now, it's been pretty mellow. There's like a little section on the website for it, but a lot of
Yeah.
it's word of mouth for now.
That's cool.
But that's been a lot of fun, man. Teaching kids how to skate and
all
seeing the
ages or
different.
just little kids?
All ages, but
Yeah.
typically it draws younger kids. I got some kids as young as 6 years old, but have given lessons to people in their 40s and everybody in between. But kind of the majority of the people who come consistently, each week, it's kind of 6 to 13 years old, roughly. And it's just a blast, man, being able to share just share the passion of skating, but about the culture, teaching kids why this is valuable, not just because it's fun, but for your life, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's so cool to see kids work through it because maybe they do things like with traditional sports where they have like a coach in an arena and the rules and, they're doing it because that's what their parents signed up for or this or that, It's like a place for them to go. But here with skating, if you want to drop in on the ramp, that's on you. I'm going to stand there. I'm going to guide you down for them. But when the time comes to drop in, you decide to do that.
Yeah.
And when you eat it, you decide whether or not you get up and do it again.
Yeah.
And so seeing how that progresses and how they start understanding that and why that's valuable and how now they start getting more hyped when they eat it and get up and they're more proud of themselves about that than
Yeah.
they are about when they land it. It's so cool to see that.
It is
and
cool.
I do a big emphasis on group lessons, try and get multiple kids in there at a time, mainly 3 max. And that's so they could start meeting kids, hyping each other up, start building that camaraderie that naturally comes with skating. And that's
Yeah.
so fun to see, man.
That is cool.
The kids are hilarious too, dude. Because I don't know about you. Do you have kids or not?
I don't have kids.
Yeah, so, and I don't either, but it's one of those things when from 18 on, if you don't have kids of your own or you don't have a big family with siblings who have, kids or babies or whatever, it's you're not really around kids. You're not interacting with them unless you're a teacher and things like that too. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it was kind of fun because I'm like, whoa, I don't really remember the last time I was so actively interacting with kids. They're hilarious, man.
Yeah, kids are funny.
The stuff they say and the things they do and just it's really fun. We have a good time in there just skating around and I let them pick the music in there. And so my Spotify Wrapped was just fried this year. You know what I mean? Just the funniest things come through because
7-year-old music.
yeah, YouTube stars and stuff I don't know. It's fun though.
TikTok and YouTube
For
stars.
sure. We had a lot of fun, man. It's
That's
a
funny.
good time.
So you do it at your shop?
At the shop, yeah, because
How big is your shop area?
the shop, the main warehouse piece of it, minus all the offices and stuff, is 2,500 or 2,400 square feet, right in that spot. It's kind of separated by this big pallet wall. So one kind of quarter of it, a little bit over a quarter, is the actual wood shop and spray booth and stuff. And then the whole other side of the pallets, we have the big ramp. And then everything else in that area is more like packaging and prototyping and other things. It's all modular, and so everything moves out of the way.
That's cool.
And that's when I could put in smaller ramps or other little features and stuff like that too. So
That's awesome.
it's been really fun. Yeah. So
How long have you been in that spot?
that spot now has been 2.5 years. My lease is up in May.
Okay.
Got to try and re-sign there. But yeah, so it's crazy. It's been a while. It was nuts. I remember I signed the lease, made that first jump from the basement totally prematurely, like way too early, and I knew it, but didn't care because I was like, if I get some other job and I live there, I know I can afford it. We could have a ramp. We could skate. I could start putting real machines in there. This is what's going to make sense, And so it was a kind of a struggle in a lot of ways, but has worked, But I just remember, man, I was so hyped on it, knew I could make it happen. But then when the landlord sends the papers, sign it, let's do it. You're like, ah, fuck. Now you're on the books. You go from operating in your basement to actually doing it. And I'm sure you know this feeling. You sign it, you're like, all right, let's
make it happen.
Let's
You know,
send
it's
it.
on you. And so I remember being nervous, you know, signing the first one because I don't know anything about business. I don't know I'm learning as much as I can. I read a ton about it. I gain as much as I can from the experience and reflect on what I can and trying to do what I can. But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, you just got to do it, and you got to make sure that you know you're committed to making it happen, and it'll go down. Because then it's like one of those things that was cool. Like I remember right when it came up to sign the lease again, I was hitting the landlord up like, "Hey, can I do 3 years?" You know, so like right after 1 year, you get your feet wet, you do it, you make it through like that first year, which is kind of pivotal. You know, I think in a lot of ways. Then it's like you start getting more comfortable with it. You know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of been fun to watch that progression. you
Yeah.
know?
That's great.
But yeah, we'll see.
So it's
what
been
goes.
coming along.
It's coming along one way or another, man. This
so
train's
cool.
rolling. Yeah.
It's so cool to see. I love
Yeah.
when people just try it. They just come up
Dude,
with
you
an idea
have
and
to.
they just
Yeah,
do
you
their
have to.
thing and it's unique to them.
Yep.
And it's not because of anybody else. It's just a
Right.
passion.
Yeah.
And it can turn into a career, a lucrative one, an important one, ones that
Sure.
inspire people,
Yeah, right.
help people, bring people together.
For sure.
I love it. I love
do.
seeing people do it. As soon as I went to that event at Wilson Wednesdays back in June, I was like, I need to talk to
Yeah,
this
it's
man. This
sick.
is
Yeah,
cool.
man. Yeah,
I was
that's-
very. I'm aware of making things happen. And
Yeah, man.
Sometimes people notice, sometimes they don't.
Sure.
You usually lose a lot of money. You know.
That's true. Been there.
Yeah.
Am there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
right,
No,
man.
I
Holy
don't.
shit.
I still don't think I've ever made money.
Yeah, right. Who knows? How's that work? Yeah, dude.
I
It's
don't know.
like,
There's this thing called
dude.
debt. I
Yeah.
don't know. Whatever.
For real.
But I mean, no, in all sincerity, I really enjoy meeting people who just have a passion. They just
Yeah, man,
do it.
likewise.
Comes with a struggle. They have to live in weird conditions. I had
Sure.
18 roommates over 7 years.
Yeah, right.
Lived in a cabin just to get by.
Yeah, right.
Lived in a closet just to get by.
Right.
And I'm still doing it and still getting by. But I've been doing what I love since
Totally, and look what
I was
you
a
got,
teenager.
man. Look at this. I mean, this setup is so sick too. And of course, in your mind, it could be something else. But like, how cool! Like you have a space, and you created a space where you could do something that you love,
Yeah.
and it's yours.
Yeah.
You know, like that is just invaluable. You
Yeah.
know, like that feeling associated with it doesn't matter if it's the smallest, worst equipment ever. If it's one little saw and material enough for 2 boards, dude, it's yours. You know, and
Yeah.
and you put in the effort to make it. It's the coolest feeling. You know, and
Yeah.
it's just. Oh man, it's like you're looking at a pile of gold and it could be anything. It's like not even close to that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But it is, you
Yeah.
know, for your life, you know, it's just so special. You know,
what you
so-
can do with that board is invaluable.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it might be $80, but what comes after?
Yeah, right,
is-
exactly.
You can't put a value on the fun, the camaraderie with your friends,
Totally.
the learning a new trick.
Yep.
You know, breaking your wrist and healing it, and
For sure.
learning never to
And
do
do it
that
again.
again,
Yeah, right.
and do it better.
Yeah.
Or maybe do it again,
Or
but do
doing
it
it
better.
again.
Do it
Yeah, right.
better.
Yeah.
You know, be careful.
Yeah, man.
Do people in the skate community give people crap who wear a bunch of like pads and stuff?
Not really. Yeah, like I think people think
That
you would get shit for it, but nobody cares.
maybe there's like a TV show.
yeah,
thing.
it's like
You know,
nerd. You know, like
Hollywood writes a lot of that stuff into things
Totally.
that aren't real.
Yeah, and I
know?
think the majority of people, obviously, when you go to a park, a lot of people aren't wearing pads, and so I think naturally you're gonna feel like an odd person out. But nobody's like, I mean, if somebody came up and talked shit on you for wearing pads, like that's their problem. You know, that person is like,
I would
They
wear
got
pads.
problems.
Kids wear pads.
yeah, dude, why not?
Wear a
Like
helmet, wear knee pads, wear the wrist. I mean,
for sure,
all
Dude,
those
we're-
things break. That's why we put helmets there.
That's why
and pads there.
Exactly.
They all
yeah,
break.
we're going like in mid January. We're going up to Detroit. They got a vert ramp up there, and we go up there like once a year to test our luck. It's a monster ramp. Like I think it's 12 feet or 12 and a half or something. That's the stuff that Tony
That's
Hawk or
huge.
whatever. They're huge, man. In person, every year I'm armored up on one of those because
Do you go down it?
yeah,
You can drop in on it.
Yeah,
Is
can
it
drop in.
terrifying?
yeah, the drop-ins, like I still haven't. By the end of the weekend there, you get comfortable. You're just like dropping in on any other ramp. But man, first few. But this year I'm trying to I've gotten just 1 or 2 tricks on the actual lip or like on the coping before. I've got some in mind that I want to get, but yeah, dude, I'm like ordering my elbow pads. I'm getting padded up for that, no
Yeah.
doubt, you know. So
Yeah.
no, I mean,
We're a mouthpiece.
I don't know about the mouth
Should we wear a
guard.
mouthpiece, you know?
Yeah, why not keep
Teeth
that
get
jaw?
knocked out.
Keep that jaw.
Yeah. When did you start skateboarding?
I started when I got my first board. I think I was 9. My uncle got it for me.
Okay.
It was like a G.I. Joe board from Walmart. It was sick.
Walmart.
Yeah. And then with the black X Factor ramps, I'm
Yeah.
sure you knew those.
Yeah.
But then I was doing that for a little. But then I was playing hockey and other sports. And then when I was
was in 8th grade, so I was 13, I think. That's when kids in my town were getting longboards, and they were getting them to get around. And so me and my friend, I borrowed my friend's board for a bunch of time, and then my parents ended up getting one for me as a present. And that was sick. From then, we started bombing hills and skating in all sorts of capacities in different ways. But yeah, that was the hook for me.
I think we started doing it at the same time.
Right around the
I'm
same time.
6 years older than you.
Mm-hmm.
You started
That
at
was-
13.
yep.
I started at 19.
Yep.
So we started longboarding at
Totally.
the exact same time.
Well, that was
That's
like,
funny.
dude, the reason I think too, like longboarding had a monster boom
Yeah.
between
like
like
2008 to 2011, 12?
exactly
Right,
to
yeah.
12, and then it just died.
Yeah,
you know?
because I got mine in 2009
Yep.
at Totally Bored, and there was longboards
Oh, dude,
everywhere.
it was insane.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of works that way, I feel like, with the industry of wheeled toys, you know, between scooters and skateboards and longboards and hoverboards and ripsticks. Like, each little sect of wheeled toy, like, takes up a little bit of market share and sometimes a lot more and things like that. But that's one thing with skateboarding and stuff, too. That one, like, stays more consistent. But, yeah, there's periods of time where, yeah, the new wheeled thing comes out, like those hoverboards, whatever, and it, like, it's got a chokehold on people. You know what I'm saying? And the longboard industry definitely had that. For a period of time. It seemed like everybody was doing it.
Mine's still in really good shape because I haven't really rode it since 2010.
Yeah, right. What was do you know what model board it?
Loaded?
Yeah.
Do
you know-
yeah, I have it
know
right
that?
here. Ooh, keep talking. I'll bring it down. It's right
Sick. Yeah, because, dude, I used to, like, I rode for orangutan, like the wheels and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know all the guys that loaded are some homies of mine from overtime. Ah, dude, it looks like a Vanguard. Yeah, that's a throwback board, man. That is sick. Yeah, loaded Vanguard.
And I got the see camera if you could.
Paris trucks right there.
I got the hang loose. My friend on all of our boards, my friend would do the hang loose.
That's sick. A classic. Look at that.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. Paris trucks, orangutan wheels.
It's in pretty good shape.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
Because
it's
I
cool.
haven't rode it in 13 years. Like I rode it a couple times, but in that 1 year, it got pretty beat up.
That's so
It's
sick.
not bad.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Made
so
in
sick.
California.
Yep. Badass.
I think it was a good amount of money. I think.
Yeah, those are
thing-
expensive. $300
Yeah,
probably.
it was like $350.
Yeah.
For everything. I got my income tax check. It was like
There we go.
$350.
There we go.
And I went
Round
straight
that up,
I
yeah.
went straight there and got it.
Totally. That's sick.
I was so excited.
That's awesome.
It's a good board. My friends were jealous for a little bit.
Yeah, no,
because
that's nice.
mine was the dope one.
That is sick.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. Maybe I'll just give it to my kids someday.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one to keep. I would keep that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's
so-
also like my skate hoarder person talking like, oh, what's this broken board? Nah, I need that for sure. You gotta keep that for.
Well,
but
good news
that's,
is
that's a good thing to
It's
keep.
not broken.
Yeah.
It's still in great shape. And obviously, the things that you normally can replace, it's not too hard to
No,
replace.
not at all. That's perfect. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. Funny stuff. Yeah, no speed wobbles in that thing. I
Hell
would
yeah.
fly. Zero
Hell
speed
yeah.
wobbles.
That's sick.
So great for carving. It took turns so well
Yeah, for sure.
at high speeds. Oh,
Nice, man.
My wrist is starting to hurt.
Yeah. Wrist is tightening up.
Oh, man.
Between the cold weather and
It gets cold in this basement. Did the heat's been off for like the last 2 hours?
it's not so. Yeah, it's not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can feel it a little bit. But that's another warehouse life thing
Yeah,
that we
you're-
deal with. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How
Yeah,
does
it's like-
the heat work?
It works, but it also doesn't.
It also
Like,
dissipates.
It goes off from like it runs on this huge boiler for
Yeah.
the whole building. And I'm pretty sure it's on some timing system to where it kind of goes off at night. So from 11 p.m. to 3:30, 4 a.m., it shuts. And so
Completely off?
yeah. I think it's like to maybe save money or something. But
Do you have
like,
a space heater?
nah, I don't. I have a good sleeping bag, like a 0-degree bag. And so
Yeah.
I'm in there. It's really cozy. But the problem is, man, is that like if I go to bed at 11, I'm toasty. It's beautiful because it's baseboard heaters in the office and the thermostat's broken and they control all the baseboards for the full front offices where there's other tenants. And it's also south facing. So the sun hits it all day. And the thermostat's broken. And so this thing just pumps heat all day. It'll be 95 degrees in the office during the day. It's like unbearably
Do you
hot.
have windows?
Yeah. And so I open the windows. When it's 20 degrees outside, it can like even
Balance.
itself out. And so I'm going to bed. It's all toasty and nice. Next thing I know, from 11 to 4, it drops 40 degrees.
Yeah, what if it's one of those negative 10-degree nights?
For sure. And then so I'm like, holy shit, I'm freezing. I'm all bundled up. I'm in my sleep bag. But then 4:30 hits, and I like can't breathe because it gets so
Yeah.
hot again because the heat
Yeah.
turns back on.
And
It's-
then when the sun rises and the sun
it's
hits.
just kind of crazy, but I've got it. It's totally down to a science now, so it's fine. It's like I know exactly like when the layers shed, and like I could somehow still stay asleep the whole time.
It's so funny when
But
I
it's
when I
not so
lived in
bad.
my
Yeah.
cabin, I
Yeah.
had a more manageable situation because I wasn't relying on a bunch of systems. It was just mine.
Sure.
But it would happen like it would get so hot in there
Right.
because I slept on a loft. The heat would rise. It was well insulated
Sure.
with drywall, and so I'd have to turn off the heat. It's dead of winter, and then it gets cold. And now you got to climb down the stairs in
Right.
the dark, go turn it back on, let it warm up. It was really hard to find
sure.
like a sweet spot.
Totally, the
you
sweet
know?
spot, dude. It's impossible to find.
That's again, people when you have central heat and air and a
Right.
nice home that's been remodeled with good insulation. Thank your lucky stars when you can perfectly regulate.
That's true.
I mean, I've been in houses, fortunately, where every room you could regulate the
Yeah.
temperature. I mean, that's
Right.
that's luxury.
That's legit
It's a
right there.
soft life.
It's legit right there.
That's a very soft life.
Dude.
I say all that one day I'll have it. I'll be like, oh, I'm so happy.
No, you'd be fine. You'd be chilling. Like, this is bad. Of course. Yeah. Who wouldn't? Yeah, it's sick.
I
Man.
love suffering,
Yeah.
and that's just the trauma we've lived. When
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like when like, oh, power's out tonight. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Power's out.
for sure. It's cool. Something
know?
different, you know? It's like a little bit more adventurous. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this looks cool, man. It's like, I don't know. It's like what you're saying about that when you're doing something you really like, though, you don't really, it's only until you say it out loud sometimes. I don't even really think about these things. You know what I mean? And then it's like when you're talking about it, it's like, oh, that is kind of funny that it turns off, it turns on, it's hot and freezing and whatever. But like, it's just what it's just what you're doing because you're doing what you got to do what you love
Yeah.
to do, you know? And so you
It's
don't
romantic
even,
too.
It's cool.
There's
like
probably
it's like-
sometimes at night you're like, one day I won't be doing this,
for sure.
and this is gonna
It's so
teach
fun.
me a life lesson,
Yeah.
humble me, enjoy these moments.
Yeah, dude, it's
like,
just different.
You don't
man.
have children.
Yeah, right.
It's not like you're putting anybody through that pain.
For sure. Oh yeah, no,
You know?
no way. Yeah, for sure.
So like, who
I'll
cares?
put myself through that, no problem. But no, nobody else.
It'll make
Yeah.
you stronger.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll make when you're older, life's just gonna be boring and
Hell yeah.
easy.
Yep.
You know.
We'd be chilling.
Well, thank you for all that you do for the
Dude, thank you.
community,
Yeah.
for skating, for Vienna beef. No, for skating,
Thank
for the
you, bro.
community, your shop. I think it's great. I love the stickers. I
Yeah,
love your mentality and your optimism about it.
Thanks so much.
I relate on that a lot. And this was great. I'd love to talk to you again.
Yeah,
and
definitely. I'm
Hopefully, we
hyped
can
this happened.
collaborate on a music skateboard world.
Yes.
That'd be fun.
More to come.
Yes, more
Tune
to
in.
come. Tune in. And yeah, I'd love to come check out the warehouse.
Oh, dude,
sometime.
always. Anytime you're welcome.
Just make sure it's just not where you sleep. It's just where you work.
Oh yeah, it's a 24-hour work facility.
Yeah, just like 24-hour,
Fitness.
export fitness
exactly.
or whatever.
That's exactly what it is, man.
All right.
Dude,
Thank
thanks,
you, Will.
thanks for having me. This
Yeah,
was
no
sick.
problem. And
Yeah.
people can find you on all social media.
Yeah, social media on Instagram at Sapient Skateboards. We are on Facebook, but I haven't updated the Facebook in like
I'm right there
so
with you.
long. It just like sometimes cross promotes, directly from
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
But it's not organized at all. And then on the website, sapientskateboards.com. But a lot of the
Awesome.
main stuff's on Instagram for now. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. So follow Sapien on Instagram, Facebook, find the website, go to the events, support them. If you know anybody who buys skateboards, buy it for them as a gift.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Christmas present, birthday present. Support your local businesses.
Yeah. That's what's
Cool.
up.
All right. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, man.
Ciao, everyone.
Yeah.